And as we were saying, Mukai is going to go ahead and let us know a little bit about what we have at stake for tonight's matches.
So today in Division 5, which both of these teams are around a low plat SR, to give you a little bit of an idea, these two teams are two of the three teams that might go into playoffs. For our groups of 5 or 6 teams, the top 2 from each group will go into a division-wide playoff. So 8-team single elimination bracket on November 4th and 11th. And this match is going to determine a lot of what goes on. So to set the stage, the 3 teams that are still in competition are Zero Watch East, which has 4 wins and has won 16 maps. 2 Flexi, the other team today, 3 wins and 12 maps. But there's also Budget C9, which has won 3 matches, won 10 maps, but has the head-to-head over 2 Flexi. So the championship is like this. If Zero Watch East wins any map today, they win the division championship. If 2 Flexi wins 4-0, they win the division championship. Playoffs are a little bit more complicated. Zero Watch East is in the playoffs no matter what. Even if they get beat 4-0, they're going to be the 2nd seed. Budget C9 can only make the playoffs as a 2nd seed, and they're playing right now. We're going to try to get live score updates as we go. And they have to match or exceed 2 Flexi's result here tonight, and they have to score 2 more map wins. So, for example, if Budget C9 wins their match 4-0 in parallel with this one, 2 Flexi has to win 3-1 or better to stay in the playoffs. So that's what we're going to be looking at is, well, first of all, if 2 Flexi loses and Budget C9 gets any result at all, Budget C9 is going to go to the playoffs and 2 Flexi's out. So 2 Flexi, they told me that they're not expecting any help. They're expecting Budget C9 to win 4-0 because they don't want to rely on anything else. So they're looking at this as, we have to win, and we have to win decisively if we want to go into the playoffs.
It's probably the way to look at it too, because why not try and control your own destiny? That's always what you want to try and do as a team.
Anything that you get, coming down the line from what other teams are doing, that's gravy on top, but there's nothing you can really do to control that. So, agreed. Glad that they've got the current outlook. Hope everyone is completely focused on the matches and that they've done their recon. We're going to have some analysis for you on the teams going up in a moment, but let's go ahead and just check in. How are our teams doing? Are they ready to go?
They are not quite ready to go. One coach is still making his way into the lobby. So
Gotcha.
We've got a few more minutes.
All right. Well, while we wait for that, let's go ahead and break down the teams in our first match. Once again, 2 Flexi and Zero Watch East.
So on 2 Flexi, their team average is around 2,600, 2,650 SR. And the 2 players that I'm going to be looking at mostly are actually their 2 supports, because their 2 supports are 2 of their highest rated players. Countersink is a very good, evasive Mercy. They're in the top 5% on Overbuff for least number of deaths. They play a very juke-heavy game. On the other end of the scale is their Lucio, Lunar Slayer. They're top 1 to 5% on both eliminations and crits. They play a very aggressive style. So usually, you either have both supports trying to play one way or the other. They've got a Lucio who's out for blood and a Mercy who's just trying to avoid her own blood getting shed.
It makes for an interesting dynamic too, Mookie, when you look at what they try to favor as far as compositions. They like to run triple DPS. Obviously, they're going to do whatever the meta dictates because their name is 2 Flexi, but if they can, they're going to go to that. So their supports are very important when you're thinking of triple DPS.
I, for one, am never one to look down on supportal combat. Big fan of seeing some of that go down, especially now that Lucio can be a bit of a frag monster, and after you hit Q on Mercy, anything goes. Checking in on our teams here, it looks like on the side of Zero Watch East is good to go.
Yeah, they're almost ready to go. We just have a little more to say about Zero Watch East. They're currently leading their division, 4 wins, no losses, no ties. Nobody has taken a single map off of them the entire season. So they've proven their dominance so far, and this is really their last test before the playoffs. And they've got a slightly lower average SR down around 2550, but that's a little deceiving because they're a more varied team. Both of their DPSs, Luxury and Square, they are both either high plat or low diamond as Soldier and Reaper. And they both get incredibly high number of eliminations. So those are the 2 we're going to watch frag out. If they have a good night, 2 Flexi is going to have a very hard time containing them.
Now, one thing that I'm looking at in our notes on Zero Watch East is it looks like they know each other in real life, which in my experience, has been not the deciding factor, but that level of synergy that it can create can absolutely, make some standout differences. Any thoughts on the SR differential between the two, or do you want to throw that into when we go into the map?
I don't really think it really matters, and I'm going to give them the okay to start right now. So let's see if
Fantastic.
they're ready.
I have heard once or twice that rank doesn't matter, and given that I just hit a career high, no, not a career high, a season high today, I sincerely hope that's true.
And we are starting with Lijiang Tower first tonight. And just as a reminder, the loser of this map will be picking which hybrid map we want to play. The loser of that will pick which 2CP map we want to play. And the loser of that will pick which payload map we want to play.
Fantastic. So we are doing this like the Overwatch Contenders League, ladies and gentlemen, and we are going to go ahead and take you live to Lijiang Tower, where the action is about to begin.
No surprises on the comps so far. Looks like we've got a 2-2-2 coming out from Zero Watch East here. So we've got Zarya, we've got Winston, everything you'd expect from looking at their stats.
Yeah, that's exactly what they tend to run. They've got this one comp that they're very comfortable with, that they make a couple of switches on it, but normally it stays very the same. They say they're fairly comfortable with the meta, when with the fact that they do have somebody who plays a lot of Mercy, and the fact that Mercy has become so important right now, not a bad thing to have, Mookie.
Absolutely not. And on the other side with 2Flexi, I think Lunar Slayer is playing with my emotions by showing Bastion right now, but I do believe they are going to bring the Pharmacy out here to start with.
And that's something that they've said that they're very comfortable with. And of course, 2Flexi in the blue, Zero Watch in the red. As the timer starts, as we're just getting ready here for this first team fight. As
Countersync is critical here.
Countersync trying to get some damage in with the damage boost going on to the point. As neither team has been able to find anyone just yet. And finally, Luxury with the first kill on the cardboard, giving the early edge to Zero Watch East, as it looks like they're going to control the point here first.
And I want to give a shout out to Gemton on Lucio for Zero Watch Red. Had an absolutely nutty speed boost in that let Reaper and a few other characters just bum rush to Flexi right outside the point. And that, I think they were going to win the fight anyway, but that made it a lot more decisive.
And now 2Flexi pushing up to try and control that choke point here on Lijiang Tower. As that fight happening right at the door. And the first kill going against 2Flexi's D-Square, getting the first one. Quickly rezzing those counters to shoot it back. Keep that tank in. Because right now, it seems to be D-Square with 2 kills, though. Flexi on his ult with Reaper on the Death Blossom. Giving really edge here again.
And Zero Watch is making excellent use of pressure. They knew where 2Flexi was going to come out. They had Winston, they had Reaper, they had a high-energy Zarya, all crowding the zone, not letting 2Flexi really get out into the open space and engage. 2Flexi really wasn't able to recover from that and use some of that space their comp is built to deal with.
You do have 3 ults, too, on the side right now of Zero Watch East for this next engagement. It looks like it's going to happen up top as well, as you have jumping into Winston on Jippy. He gets taken down very low, has to use his ult there. Just poking at him right now is 2Flexi. As there the Diva Bomb goes, trying to find somebody over there.
And that D-Bolt, that was just to buy some space. 2Flexi is desperate to get out into the open and get onto the point like this. That unfortunately meant that the Diva self-destruct only zoned it, only charged up Zari.
Ivysaur using the res to keep up the Lucio and Gem. That's pushing on to the point now is 2Flexi. As ulting in here now was Gem for Zero Watch as they look to control this point. Death Blossom in, finds Steel and Square with Cardboard on the kill there right before the Death Blossom. And this should be it here, 97%, 98, and it's going to tick down, and this should be 0.1 for Zero Watch East. A good start for them. They controlled things throughout, Mookie. It wasn't... I mean, they dictated where the team fights were going to happen for the most time, and then the one time that they didn't, they moved back and then engaged when they were ready.
And that, I think, was on Square as Reaper. Both times that the fight threatened to get out of their control, he had Death Blossom up, he used it and got multiple kills. He was acting as the control on the battlefield, And it's been pointed out that Gemton is actually nutmeg backwards, so I'm probably going to call them nutmeg from now on. But yeah, Steve-Square absolutely is acting as the linchpin of Zero Watch East's strategy right now, which is control space, control the range of engagement.
Now, for 2Flexi, how do you combat that Reaper who is doing so much damage? How do you try and take him out?
On this map, they're going to have a lot better chance with that Pharmacy to just get altitude and fight. And that immediate pick from Junkrat, that's going to help them a lot as well.
Yep, another couple quick picks coming in here as well for 2Flexi, as the Square is the last one left alive after a res here, but that'll be the win of the team fight for 2Flexi, and they'll get control of the point here first.
And that was absolutely critical for them to win, for them to get a little mental momentum going. Otherwise, they would have felt like the game was already slipping out of their control. And remember, Zero Watch East only has to win one map to win the division.
So the push coming forward, Cardboard putting in some damage there on the Junkrat, trying to get that Reinhardt shield down, as the Zarya is fighting out in front. Trying to flank a little bit his Luxury to try and get some extra damage. You've got Steve-Square from the other side, pushing his way onto the point, gets a Zarya bubble and goes back. Steve-Square, the first one to go down, however, quickly res back by Ivysaur, but Lunar Slayer getting another kill as well here on the Luxury.
And look at the shape of 2Flexi in defending this point. They're spread out. There's no Death Blossom that's going to really be able to get them. When Grav comes out, they're going to be pretty safe against that. This is the game they want to play. They want to play a wide open game, not clogged up in small corridors.
They have the Riptire available as well right now for Cardboard as they try to push Zero Watch back to the door, and they're able to do so. And this is where you get even more power out of the Junkrat when he's got that small space to throw his bombs into.
Absolutely, and I think the Riptire might be coming out real soon looking for the Mercy, because Mercy does have Valkyrie up.
Jive Turkey too with his ult ready as well, so Turkey able to combo with that tire if he wants.
And Ryan landed on a trap there, stalling that entire push, buying him a few extra percent, just didn't look down and see the trap in time.
Ulting in his Ace of Spades here, pretty good counter ult there with the Reinhardt Shattered. Stops would have been a good opportunity. Riptire Cardboard goes down. It's best. Putting a good push to get out of the door for Zero Watch. Their way towards the point, but they still have work to get on.
And that was entirely to clear them away from that choke point, and now Mauve Alert has the Graviton Surge ready, and there it goes.
That's just a lot of flex into there.
And look at that. 4 kills on the Graviton Surge. There is really nothing that 2Flexi can do to stop that. Still, they did get to 99% before losing the point. They can't really be upset about that.
Zero Watch with control. Still have the Junkrat Riptire, and you have Stalin all to shoot it dead.
And yeah, I'm looking for that Riptire. I'm looking for it almost. They might want to even engage with it just to try to pick that Mercy off before she can burn a res.
Like up the stairs, you're probably down the one again. It's the first kill. Slayer finds another one. C-Square. As there comes the Shatter, manages to
another Shatter. That's the second in just 2 team fights there. So Chippy the Line, doing work for Zero Watch East.
Still control that point. There's the ult. Not going to use the Riptire here. He's going to clean it up with the 9. That should give the point right back, and that'll cause the overtime here in a second. C-Square using his great form to try and keep the point for a little bit longer. He gets taken out quickly. It's back flip now for 2Flexi.
And Chippy's going to try to be a hero and stall it out by himself for just long enough. He's going to be able to do it. They are going to be able to come in, Zero Watch East, and try a retake. The res comes out on Reinhardt. That brings out the Graviton Surge. That's just really one person, though. But Luxury does pick off the Riptire before he can get any value.
Very quickly taken out. Steve-Square with the big Death Blossom gets 3 on the side of 2Flexi. And this looks like it's going to be the point back in favor of Zero Watch East. They're pushing back here, Mookie, and making this one a tough one here for 2Flexi, who still has 99%.
An amazing retake, and the only ult that 2Flexi is going to have is Valkyrie. Deployed correctly, that can sway a team fight, but now they're going to be starting to get a little worried.
Steve-Square getting low, has to go back towards his Mercy, continue to output damage here towards the stairs. Ivysaur having to res Luxury as he was taken down. C-Square coming back towards the point. Wraith.
General melee on the point here. 2Flexi looking around, looking for the pick, but they're losing picks themselves, and they're almost out of time for another good pick as they get up to almost 90%. The Valkyrie comes out as kind of their last gasp.
And the Valkyrie here, Wraith threads on to Lord Slayer, but C-Square is still doing damage here, trying to take out Turkey, does so, and that's a big loss when you had that full charge Zarya. He's just continuing to look for targets to take out here, as both teams at 99%, has another Death Blossom here as well that he can use if he needs. There comes the on the side for the side. Counter by C-Square does Turkey down. As this fight,
What a stall.
Now you have Zarya all on the other side, and that might be the cider here, and it does, as the control map here on Bijan Tower will be Zero Watch East. It was a tough fought second point, though, for Zero Watch East. They were down 99% to 0 and able to turn that.
And with that win, Zero Watch East will win the group. And we do have an update. Budget C9 has won their first map, so now that will start.
And of course, with the map win here for Zero Watch East, they have solidified themselves as the division champion for this division. So congrats to them, obviously, on that. But you still have 3 more maps to go. And for 2Flexi, these maps are all more important now.
Absolutely, because now they went into this with even on points, even on match points, and with a 2-map advantage in map wins, but that's already starting to evaporate.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take a quick moment to address our audio issues by switching to everyone's favorite voice chat client. Please bear with us for one moment.
Okay, welcome back. This interruption brought to you by Microsoft and the program Skype. We had some audio issues. Hopefully we are both coming through now. And the next map is going to be Eichenwald, as picked by 2Flexi. And Zero Watch East is choosing to defend first. So we're about to see 2 Flexi attacking Zero Watch East on Eichenwald. So, Labasco, what did you see out of 2 Flexi that gives you some hope about things they can change going forward? Absolutely. Again, not to harp on it too much, but I think the verticality and the wide open spaces, those are what 2 Flexi really wants to see. And Eichenwald, no shortage of verticality in this map for him. So Zero Watch again coming out with a 2-2-2. Again, they've got Steve Square on Reaper and Luxury on Soldier, so as expected. No real surprises. Nutmeg's going to Zen instead of Lucio for the second healer. That's about as crazy as it's going to get from them. So apparently nobody can actually hear you right now, Lobosco, so apologies for that. But to the point you made that too much of a focus on one player can be a bit of a bad thing, I think it's something that just has to be worked through. When you've got one ace, you've got to make sure they're not able to get picks. So until the audio is able to come through, it's going to be solo casting, it looks like. So first approach coming out from 2 Flexi, and they're going to be going in mostly behind the line shoot dead. And Zarya's going to back down. He's trying to build up that charge. They're going to go over to the right as needed. So engagement starting just on. They're slowly pulling back. It doesn't take off and make the healer. The res from Ivysaur does come back to sword.
See, do you have me now?
I have you now. Ladies and gentlemen, Mukai Kubo's luxurious voice will be back with us in a moment.
Hey, we're back on Skype now.
Yes, we are.
Apologies for that.
Let's see, hopefully this is a little bit better then.
Nope, we are good.
Hopefully you can hear me.
Back to the action, folks.
So 2 Flexi, they're going to take this first one. Spread out attack. Initial.
I think we might have lost Yamuki there a little bit. As the push going well so far. As Cardboard gets taken out here, 3 kills quickly coming in on the side of Zero Watch.
And yeah, a decisive stop from Zero Watch East here. I hope somebody can hear me talking about this at some point.
You are now good. I think we have both of our casters online. Thank you for your patience, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get a quick recap on what we've seen and go into the next push here.
All right, Labosco, let's try to reset ourselves here.
Right, so far the push on the side of 2 Flexi has at least gotten them past the point, and now they've gotten to the initial choke. But right now, Zero Watch really keeping them at bay at the doors here. Square gets taken out, but gets right back up because of a res. But a big ult from Ace of Spades, the Rocket Barrage killing 3, but Nutmeg with the ult there to at least keep his team up, and they do keep control.
And Nutmeg, he tried, but the Transcendence came in just a little too late to save 3 people. But he was able to hold back on the point by himself for a little bit longer, just long enough to force 2Flexi to reset.
But that will give 2Flexi the opportunity here to push the cart further as they make it around the first corner here towards the underpass.
And they've got Mob Alert on Zarya almost all alone down there on the low ground for a little while. Managed to pull away, but that was a very dangerous positioning by Zarya there.
So for Zero Watch here, they'll quickly use the res to bring Jippy back up as the Reinhardt goes in swinging his hammer. After the res, Luxury with his ult from up top, able to find 2. Jippy with another one as they handle here pretty well to Flexi, who will have to reset once again.
An excellent stagger here coming in on Baby Diva. They're giving her time. They're not killing her, even though it's trying to make it happen. They wait long enough that she has to stagger a long time before the next push. And with this little amount of time left, that could be an entire extra push they don't get.
So they reset here now, try to come back forward. You see, too, that Zero Watch is pushing up in front of the cart as well for this next defense.
And pay attention to Zero Watch because they've got Grab. They're about to have Death Blossom, and they have Earth Shatter. They've got 2 really good control ults, and they've got C-Square who's just waiting to be able to unleash that Death Blossom.
And on the other side, Cardboard has his ult as well, as there comes out the counter Ryan ult to stop after the Zarya ult. But it's going to be a win here for Zero Watch as they will take control and push to Flexi back. Cardboard taken out here quickly.
And what happened there, Jippy tried to charge through the grab, but got held up on Cardboard's trap as Junkrat. That probably saved a lot of angst for 2Flexi. I mean, in the end, they lost the fight anyway, but it would have been even worse if they hadn't.
So it looks like this time they're going up top to try and attack from the side here with everybody on the card for Zero Watch. We'll see if this move will pay off as they do get everybody up there. Cardboard shooting from the door just around. Can't get his bombs to land, though, where Zero Watch is as they group out of the way. The ult coming in on the side of 2Flexi as they go in for the kills. Cardboard finding Nutmeg there, as well as another kill onto Jippy, and there 2Easy will finally get that win and push this card through the underpass.
And 2Flexi, I was originally worried because their attack split up in 3 different directions. I wasn't sure. I thought Zero Watch East could have collapsed on one and shut it down. But Zero Watch tried to maintain position instead of defending a little more aggressively, and as a result, 2Flexi made the risk pay off.
So pushed up to the doors here for Flexi as they get close to the point here. Using his tire, but not able to get anybody with Cardboard as that does force the Zenyatta ult. Steve Square using his Death Blossom does get Cardboard, who quickly gets res. The overtime counter ticking now as both these teams fighting it out here. Turkey's going to lose his mech, and Steve Square and Jippy cleaning up things here for Zero Watch. So this might come to an end here. Cardboard just on top, using a mine to keep himself in the air, and dies here, and that'll do it for that overtime ticker, as it is a good hold for Zero Watch East. They stopped them short of that first point after the initial capture.
And I love the recovery that Zero Watch East showed. They lost the one fight under the choke point. They grouped up, they didn't panic, they didn't trickle. Even though it was going to be about 3 meters left when they got onto the point, they went out as a team through one entrance, and they were able to just bully 2Flexi off the point, hold their own during the stall long enough, get enough picks that they were able to hold and not give up point B.
I'd also like to say something briefly about their ult economy. There was an engagement at the base of the tower where Zero Watch moved in with Grav, and Steel Square, I believe, on Reaper, pushed in and had ult, but held it. Just went in with the 2 shotguns, saw the way that the engagement was going, saw that you didn't need to burn the ult, you could hold on to that for the next fight. there's been a couple of engagements where Zero Watch has displayed good discipline in figuring out exactly how many resources to allocate to an engagement and just being thoughtful about that. So props to them.
Absolutely, and that's one of the underrated skills at this point in the solo queue competitive ladder. It's knowing when to use, and more importantly, when not to use your ults. And just for an update, Budget C9 is now up 2-0. So right now, 2Flexi is really starting to clinch here.
But this is an opportunity for them here, Mookie, on this map with the Junkrat. You can really control this first point, and you can full hold the team. This is where they're going to have to do it. I think their best chances, if they do have, or at least get close to a full hold, then they can potentially win this map.
Absolutely, and they're going to be looking for that Graviton Surge combo, maybe with Riptire from Cardboard, but they're going to have to bring out some ult combos here just to get through the sustain that Zero Watch East is bringing.
As the door is about to open now here, as we'll get to see Zero Watch on their first opportunity, pushing very similar comp to what they've been using pretty much throughout this entire game so far, as they come
If it ain't
straight
broke,
down
don't
main.
fix it.
Yeah, exactly. Coming straight down the middle, too, here to start off, as Chippy putting his shield out in front and allowing his team to try and poke down the side of 2Flexi. Shoot It Dead moves back, lets his shield recharge, and sort of just switches places with Turkey, and now comes back with a full shield.
And Chippy tried to carry the choke point in just a single quick rush without even his shield up oftentimes. It didn't quite work, but it did push 2Flexi a little ways back.
Ivysaur having to use the res here. Starting to go back towards their point is 2Flexi, giving the opportunity here, the ult used by the Mercy on the side of Zero Watch by Ivysaur.
That's a very clean rotation from 2Flexi on defense. They had 3 on either side of the tower. They were able to rotate 6 on one side right as Zero Watch East began their push.
They haven't been able to get any team wipes though. Luxury will get the first kill on one of the supports and counter Sing, as that will maybe give a chance here, as Luxury is on the left side, was there, and there's the big ult from Jippy to get everybody on the side up to Flexi, and they'll get control here with 2.5 minutes left, and this should be the capture of the point.
And that was the story of 3 ults. Jippy wanted an Earth Shatter. He started using the Earth Shatter. Right then, the Graviton came out, pulled him off, and then the counter Earth Shatter came in and just knocked 2Flexi all over.
And Luxury was applying pressure on the flank on the left side that had a couple of the players sort of turning from their perspective to the right.
And ooh, Steve Square tried for a glory ult there and didn't quite come off.
Does lose the ult, however, and that'll force out the ult from the side of Too Easy. They're trying to keep this card in front of the doors to keep that pressure on. There is 4:12 left to go here, but if you can control this area, this can be a good hold for Too Easy.
And Steve Square is just roaming around the back line now, looking for picks to get.
The Valkyrie over Steve Square does get Turkey out of the map. And then there comes another shatter. We've seen these shatters get built up very quickly from Jippy the line, as there's another one. Does result eventually in a kill by Luxury on the Lunar Slayer, so the Lucio gone, but Shoot It Dead countering, killing Jippy.
The counter argument is that some of these shatters are not getting real value. And what 2Flexi is doing right now, they're trying to hold as far forward as possible to drain as much time as possible. They are desperate to win this map.
Beat dropped by Gemton, as that will now allow for his team to push forward, but they still haven't gotten to the doors. Alt on the side of Shoot It Dead on the Winston, just trying to buy some time. 320, and they still are just getting the doors open. They still have a lot of time though to try and push to that first point.
Yeah, but they've got 3 minutes instead of 5 minutes. So, 2Flexi, they held as long as they could at the gates. I think it was a good way to burn 2 minutes off the clock. They're going to have time for at least 2 more full engages on the payload, even if things start to go wrong for them.
The ult thrown in by Turkey doesn't get anything, but does at least stop the cart for a moment. And then here comes the ult on the side from Mavalard, as that will only get a couple. As
there goes Steve Square.
As there he goes, using the Death Blossom, gets another kill onto Ace of Spades, taking out the Soldier, as 2Flexi gets cleaned and wiped here.
We'll
And
have
they
at
will
least
push
one
under
more
the
shot at this, and they are going to have Riptire available.
Yep, on the side of 2Flexi, you have that. Ace of Spades getting close to a Visor, and the Valkyrie coming close here to count for countersink as the ult used by Jippy doesn't get anything with it. And Shoot It Dead quickly killed here, quickly rezzing Jippy though. Was Ivysaur, and then uses their ult herself. And it looked like a boot by Lunar Slayer sent T-Square off. That could help try and throw this back in the favor of 2Flexi, but Jippy the Lion continues to swing that hammer. As it's
2Flexi might have 2 minutes left in their playoff search here.
Shoot It Dead back in, uses this bubble, putting out the damage onto Jippy the Lion. His team coming in to help him as well. Cardboard rezzed here to keep that splash damage coming as he looks to throw it off towards the way where T-Square flanking in quickly has to go away. Very close to that golden box here, a minute and a half left as the kills have been coming out here for Zero Watch.
Yeah, an Earth Shatter just got invested to solo ult Mercy. It's the right call. Zero Watch takes the map.
And with that, they go up 2-0 here, winning Eichenwald 2-1. A great start for them.
And if Budget C9 can win or tie one more map, Budget C9 will take the second seed and 2Flexi will be eliminated. Things are now out of 2Flexi's hands.
For 2Flexi here, you've got to maybe not pay attention to what's happening elsewhere and just try and get these last two maps. How do you make sure that you keep the focus on the right things and not what's happening somewhere else?
I think it's just mental. It's just something you get with a lot of competition. It's just knowing how to block out everything outside of what you've been doing. And it's something that you just have to learn through experience.
And now here too, they have the pick for the assault map. So we will see where we end up going for 2CP. But when you look at it here, the Junkrat has worked pretty well. It has been close for most of these fights, Mookie. Do you go to another map where Junkrat can be effective?
I might also consider going to Anubis because I think Anubis plays into 2Flexi's strengths pretty well. Let's see. One of the teams is swapping out players here. Yeah, I believe 2Flexi is swapping out Cardboard, who had been on Junkrat for Ja 7.
I do want to give out props while we wait for the rosters to get themselves situated. I do want to commend 2Flexi for that very aggressive portcullis hold on Eichenwald at the base of the tower. It was the right thought, and they kept that going for quite some time, to be honest. It can be fairly risky pushing that aggressively forward on defense, but if there's anywhere that you can afford to get away with it, Eichenwald is one of those places. Now, the main risk there is that you lose the advantage of some of the highest ground in the game, the Eichenwald Tower. But at the same time, even if you suffer a complete team wipe and a stagger, at most they're going to get all the way up to the bridge, the overpassing bridge, and that is another good place to hold. So, valid tactic on their part, using the close quarters especially to their advantage, even against Steelshade's Reaper, which has been highly effective. That strategy really paid off for at least a little while. It was once they got into the open area and Reaper was able to kind of use all the different angles of attack, and Zero Watch was able to more easily control the flow of the engagement, that 2Flexi lost that advantage.
So now we
Absolutely.
We now see them bringing Sha 7, who, when you look at him, his main is a Genji. He's a DPS player as well, of course, just like Cardboard. So what do you think that this can do as far as the comps we see for 2Flexi, the fact that you're now bringing somebody who does specialize on Genji?
Well, they are going to Anubis, as mentioned, as expected. And so I think between bringing a Genji and going on to Anubis, I think they're going to go with more of a dive. And again, Zero Watch East is going to choose to defend first. So if 2Flexi is going to go full dive, we're going to see it happen real soon here.
I'd be excited to see some dive. In that last fight, we had a defensive dive strat coming out of 2Flexi, playing the Winston into the opposing Reaper. It paid off at least once when Zero Watch's Rhine dropped the Shatter directly into a Winston bubble, which definitely covered them. But I think on a map like Anubis, it might pay off a little bit better. The Rhine play coming out of Zero Watch, with the exception of the ults, as you mentioned, the ults were building quickly and not getting a huge amount of value. So what does that tell us? It tells us that the very fundamentals of Rhine play there are pretty solid. It's just that one skill that was a little bit off. So being able to play around those fundamentals of Rhine play and also being more mobile to avoid Reaper attacks is going to be important if 2Flexi wants to put a win on the board.
Absolutely. And at this point, even if they can't make the playoffs, 2Flexi has a lot of pride to play for. They could be the only team to take a map off of Zero Watch East if all else fails. But for now, they're still thinking playoffs.
Have to be thinking playoffs at this point. They more than likely haven't seen that they don't know yet, we don't know yet, but it's close, so why worry about it?
Absolutely, and not seeing a whole lot of surprises coming out in the comps yet. Zero Watch East, they're going to stick with what's been working so well for them. They're going to stick with that Winston and Zarya tank combo, the Soldier and Reaper DPS combo, and putting Nutmeg on Zen as the secondary healer.
See how this goes here for their initial attack too, and not too much of a surprise, I think, on the side of 2Flexi. We see Ja7 come in, and he is on the Genji.
And Ace of Spades is on Widow. I think that's just trying to peek and see something over that arch to begin with. I don't expect them to bring that to the initial push, but we'll see. It might be.
If they do stick with it, this is an area where offensively you can be pretty good with Widow if you can get up onto that high ground.
Especially with the combination of a Widow to control space and a dive comp to push into the space that is under control, that can get a lot of work done.
Well, they're really not bringing any dive tanks. All they're bringing for dive is a Lucio and Genji, really. So Ace of Spades isn't going to switch off Widow, is going to try to get up high and get some early picks here.
So Ace of Spades taking the quick high ground here early on, putting some shots out, finds Nutmeg early on, but Luxury will find Ace of Spades, but that's a trade you'll take. It does force out the res from Ivysaur to bring Nutmeg back on that Zenyatta. And the fight now happening up on the second floor.
But the problem is Ace of Spades died well away from where Mercy could fly up and res her. So effectively that wasn't a trade at all, because Mercy was able to res for Zero Watch East, but not for 2Flexi.
So now Luxury finding a kill, this time on Ja7. Ace of Spades is back up on the high ground, but Luxury doing work on the Soldier 76. He's the one who took out Ace of Spades initially, and he continues to rain down from above. And he's being hidden too from where Ace of Spades is, so Ace of Spades can't get any shots onto him. And Nutmeg with the follow-up kill on to shoot it dead. So a very good start here for Zero Watch East.
One thing that might have gone unnoticed, Jippy on Winston was back in the back line of 2Flexi that entire push. He was able to keep Lucio and Widow from joining the fight on the point by himself.
Second attempt here now for 2Flexi as they'll go to the right side. Luxury, though, finding Ja7 again early on to give the 6-on-5 advantage to Zero Watch. Ace of Spades finally kills Luxury, who was on a streak there. Chippy the Lion, though, getting Ace of Spades and being brought back right away is Luxury. The Valkyrie ult comes on the side for Ivysaur as they're coming from behind to try and take this attack to 2Flexi, who has nowhere really to go but try and get onto the point eventually.
One thing I'm noticing is that Countersync, the Mercy for 2Flexi, isn't really doing a lot of resing. Picks up Lunar Slayer there, but when Genji died early in that push, there was no res, even though they could have. They were saving their reses for the point fight and hoping that it would matter more then because of spawn advantage.
So another team fight win for Zero Watch East as they look to try and full hold here. They still got a minute 40 left to hold. But look, talk about Luxury here for a second. He has been doing a lot of work on this Soldier 76.
Absolutely, and for this push, watch Square. He has the Death Blossom, and he's shown in prior maps he's got a good nose for getting value out of it. He's hiding to the right of the initial push. I think if they go right a third time, they're going to get a nasty surprise.
Well, they're going left this time.
Smart.
Haven't seen them do yet. Mob Alert out in front. Some damage coming in from Luxury using the stairs to shield himself. Damage being put on. Ace of Spades does take out Square, not before he gets a kill. but they're able to quickly res Jaw 7, so that should be a fight that starts out at least in favor of 2Flexi.
And there I have to look at Shah's target selection. With the Dragon Sword, kind of ignored 2 squishes that were nearby and focused on Winston. I know as a Genji that Winston can be annoying, but when you've got the sword up, you've got to look for better targets.
And now 2Flexi pushing on to the point. They've just got to take out Mobler with Nutmeg. Get the Winston coming in, alted him, so that way they can try and capture this quickly. Just coming in to try and stall with Square, but he's taken out immediately. And this will be the capture for 2Flexi onto the first point.
Absolutely, and they did it so that Zero Watch East is not going to have a lot of ults for this first push. They're going to be trying to get it all on this first push because first push is best push on 2CP.
4:11 left to go here after the capture now, so they do have some time. Discord order comes on to Turkey, who's on the Soldier 76, as they look to push down through the middle. Shoot it dead with his bubble, the bubble coming out here. Luxury does find Turkey. Quickly gets res back. Ace of Spades able to get 1 kill on the Nutmeg, who's pretty quickly brought back. Mauveler now finding a kill here. Is this fight still back and forth here? It looks like having to just go back is 2Flexi, as they realize they're not going to be able to push through, especially with the respawns.
And Mauve Alert on Zarya just absolutely ruined that push from Reinhardt. Got in his face, didn't know which way to turn his shield. Mauve Alert just stood in the middle of the point like a steel wall right there. Excellent defensive play from Zarya.
Pretty high charge too for Mauve Alert, trying to keep that up. Just going and throwing out some right clicks here as 2Flexi regroups here for another push. 3:10 left for them to try and capture this second point, and they're going to go in here on the Lucio ult. Quickly coming in and alting his Ace of Spades, does find Mauve Alert. Square though with countersing on the kill, and Ivysaur able to bring Mauve Alert back up, but they do at least get the charge out as Jaw 7 with the ult there. Hasn't gotten anything with that Dragon Blade as his team continues to fall. They'll try to retreat away here, but they'll get cleaned up and stagger as Zero Watch East with another bunch of kills. Luxury working well there. Ivysaur on that Mercy has really been able to avoid dying really well.
Absolutely, and that ult coming out near the end of that team fight might not have been necessary, but it didn't seem that way to them. So, it's a minor thing at most. But I do want to give a lot of attention to how well they were shutting down 2Flexi's ults there. Like you called out that sword. The Death Blossom also only got 1 person, and that barely. And contrast it with what Square just did there, getting a double kill with the Death Blossom, including a Mercy.
Exactly, gets the Mercy, and he gets the other, his counterpart in Reaper, and Ace of Spades. That forces back to Flexi. That's a little bit more of a stagger here before they can try and push in.
Absolutely, and 2Flexi, they've got to back up, they've got to take a breath, figure out what they want to do, because right now, they're getting bullied.
Turkey with his ult, shoot it dead with the Shatter as well, and you still have the Valkyrie ult from Counter Sync. We'll see when they decide, how they decide to use these 3 ults as they look to go in. Get a quick kill here on the left side on a Jippy, as they will now look to push in through the middle. Very high charge Mob though, Ace of Spades. With the kill on his Steve. Here comes the ult though from Mob. Doesn't get anybody in it. His team falls around him. Turkey able to get a kill on a Nutmeg, and Luxury falls as well. Ivysaur happy to res Nutmeg here, but Turkey with another kill on the Mobbler, and the tank's gone for Zero Watch East as they're going to try and gather here. They've got to hurry though. This point is going to get captured here in just a second. Square just gets on before the capture goes through, but he gets taken out. So this Luxury, there's the capture with 55 seconds left.
And excellent from Mauve Alert. It was a great Graviton Surge to get 5 people in the area of effect. Not so great that they did it when there was nobody else on their team who could really follow up.
And that is the second time that happened in that match.
Exactly. And it's so hard to be able to be a Zarya because you have to rely on your teammates to follow up, and you have to know when your teammates are in a position to follow up. You can get everyone in the world in your grab, but if it's just you and you don't have really high charge, you're not going to get value from it. And also between maps, we do have an update. Budget C9 did win their 3rd map, winning the match. Budget C9 is going to be our 2nd seed in the playoffs. So now, 2Flexi, they don't know it yet. All they're doing is playing for honor.
Playing for pride, and Still have a chance to be the first team here in the regular season play to at least get a map off of Zero Watch East. Them getting that 2-0 is definitely a good start if they want to win this map.
Absolutely. It was key that they get that second point, because now, no matter what, they're going to have another chance on attack and defense at worst.
And no surprises on the side of Zero Watch East. You still have Ivysaur, who's played Mercy. Steve Square still on his signature Reaper. Luxury playing the Soldier 76. Mob, Nutmeg, and Jippy on the Zarya, Lucio, and Reinhardt. And Ja7, saw him on the, or to Flexi, we saw him on the Genji. Now he moves to the Junkrat here on defense.
I am a little disappointed. I was hoping he would stick with Genji and we would see a defensive dive approach to holding this first point, or especially the second point. Also a little surprised that we're not seeing anyone try to run Sombra. This isn't her best map, but it's one of her very good maps. We'll see how Zero Watch East is able to break down this point defense and stuff.
Now, if you're too flexy here, do you maybe bring the Sombra out if they capture the first point, I wonder?
Depending on who on your team is good at Sombra and what their ult charge is to start with. If they're near an ult, you can't give that up.
So pushing here to the right side is Zero Watch East. As charging in, missing his charge though was Shoot It Dead. Able to stay alive. Ja7 fell early. He does find a gets brought back. Shoot It Dead, sorry, with the kill onto Steve Square. As working their way up here, up top is Zero Watch East. Ivysaur now quickly rezzing Steve Square. Jippy the Lion able to kill his counterpart and Shoot It Dead on the Rhine. Ja7 and Lunar Slayer though doing some work with Steve Square being brought back. Gets one. But it's some good cleanup here, it looks like, on the side of Flexi. They'll at least stall this out for a little bit.
And I really like Zero Watch's initial push up to the right and up to high ground, but they got a little strung out. When Mercy went back to res Reaper, they kind of got pulled out in a line. Flexi was able to close down on the isolated parts and kill them.
Turkey, the only tank here right now, getting back into position and coming around is Shoot It Dead. So even though there was the spawn advantage for Zero Watch East, they couldn't take advantage of it.
And here we can see Ace of Spades is going up to the high ground, looking to drop down on somebody as they come out through that right building. And there they go.
Not a good position here right now. The Riptire comes out, finds two for Ja7, and that should help out here. Ace of Spades with the cleanup onto Jippy. As Flexi will hold here on the second opportunity for Zero Watch East on their push. They did get onto the point, but nothing to come from it, and they came down low, and that's really good for when there's a Riptire coming going through that choke.
And they held two ults for the next push, but Riptire, it's one of those ults where it can just completely destroy a team fight with no warning. It can be an initiator, it can combo with things. It's such a flexible ult, and Ja7 just got real value from it.
Lava Alert almost to his Graviton Surge. Turkey as well close forward to Flexi, as we'll see what they decide to do here for their next push for Zero Watch East. Going up along the right side once again. Both Reinhardt's charge into each other. Barrett comes out on one side. Turkey gets one kill. Ace of Spades uses the Death Blossom to get another. Shoot It Dead following up. As taking control here again is Flexi, forcing back Zero Watch East. A minute 29 for them to try and capture the first point to get a chance to get to the second.
Can we
And I think that was an intentional dry. Go ahead.
Find Steve Square.
Where's Steve Square? Where did he go? Oh, there he is, way back behind the point.
As the ult again here.
Ooh, and I
outs for 3 kills quickly on the Graviton Surge from the side of Turkey for Flexi. And that's going to be another failed push by Zero Watch East. They use that one ult, and they get a lot of kills from it. Ja7 to using that mine to put in a lot of damage.
Although, Reaper did startle countersink into burning her ult early. So there is that at least.
So 3 ults on either side here, and this is probably going to be the deciding push for Zero Watch East. As they push up along the left side this time, the ult coming out from Lava Alert here, but the counter Riptire coming in finds Luxury. Steve Square, though, able to take out Ja7 while he was using that tire. Now comes down the stairs. Death Blossoms in, gets booped away. Good boop there, and that will keep the Death Blossom from finding anyone. And then a big Earth Shatter gets 3 for the side of 2Flexi from Sheet again, and then their Death Blossom will find 1 as they look to clean up the fight here.
And Ivysaur is just doing everything they can to try to hold this as Mercy ulting, rezzing everyone, healing everyone. They don't want to lose this map, even though they've already got the Division Championship.
The Lion jumping in here, probably going to pop his ult here in just a second to try and stall for his team as they look to try and come back. The overtime ticker still going on, trying to create as much time as possible for his team to get back. Luxury onto the point, shot 7 will find Nutmeg to get 1 kill. So 4 more players there. And that'll do it. They end up coming off the point, and that'll be a map win. 2Flexi will get the W, 2-0, as they take the first map off of Zero Watch East. They had 4-0'd everyone else up to this point, but not here against 2Flexi.
And I love to see it. It doesn't matter that they don't have anything concrete to play for. They're still going to give it their all. They're still going to win these maps. And let's see if they can make it high. Just, add
Now for Zero Watch East here, Rookie, how do you come back from your first loss? You're going to do something right now that you haven't done all season so far. You're picking a map. They haven't done that.
That is true. And I think if you're Zero Watch East, you just, in this few seconds between maps, you take a lean back, you say, guys, we won the group. We're #1 seed in the playoffs. Let's go out there. Let's pick the map that we're the most comfortable on. Let's just go have fun, and let's try to make this a 3-1 victory.
There is one other thing that you do in that situation, and actually, Mukai, you can kind of understand this very deeply based on our last match. After a situation like this, taking absolutely nothing away from 2Flexi for an excellent first point hold. But you kind of look at each other, you shrug, and you say, it's Assault.
It is, and 2CP is sufficiently different from everything else that sometimes you do just have to shrug and say, 2CP. And we are going to be going to my personal favorite map, Watchpoint Gibraltar, for our final map of this match. So, again, it's going to be a very wide open, very vertical map. So even though Zero Watch East picked it, I don't think 2Flexi is going to be at all unhappy with it. And they are going to defend first, 2Flexi. So we're going to see Zero Watch East take this first push.
So just waiting for things to get started here. But when you look at it for the side of 2Flexi, they might know now that they're out. But when you're playing for pride, I mean, regardless of whether they know or not, you just put everything out on the line here on this last map, right?
And even if you miss the playoffs, a record of 3 wins, 1 tie, and 1 loss, that's going to feel a lot better than 3 wins, 2 losses would. So that's what 2Flexi is really playing for at this point.
Now, I wonder what we end up seeing. It looks like they... I wonder what we'll see if Ja7, if we'll see him starting off on the Genji, or what we'll see here early on from 2Flexi. We saw him on the Junkrat, and he was really good there. Obviously, this is not really a map that favors Junkrat, but his Junkrat was very impressive there on Temple of Anubis.
You say that, there are a lot of places on this map where a defending Junkrat can absolutely do work. It doesn't feel like it because of how wide open it is, but there are enough confined spaces on all 3 points. You can really get some value from Junkrat if you really want to.
What would you say? Would you say the first point is maybe where there's the least amount, or would it be the third point?
I think the first point is probably the worst point unless the attacking team goes all the way around to the left and tries to take high ground first. If they do that, these high rock walls on either side, you can set up a lot of good bounces on grenades from there.
We'll see here, Luxury showing Widowmaker early on. And that would be exciting to see if that's what he ends up choosing here for this first attack.
And I think that might just be to gain information, but
Through the
2Flexi, they're not showing anything.
Yeah, making sure to stay hidden themselves, not coming around the corner. They do have Ja7 on the Junkrat again, as you had thought. You said he could still be good here on this first point, and they're going to start with it for 2Flexi.
It's just that positioning is extremely important for Junkrat here. You want to be in a place where you can bombard the far left side and also the underpass at the same time.
Also, flank control, key for Junkrat if he's going to be getting value on this map.
As
And
the door...
Widow is swapped off of.
Yep, back onto the Soldier 76, who Luxury has been very effective on here at times for his team.
And Reaper's thinking.
As you see Square trying to come up those stairs, we'll have to go push back away, though, because of those Junkrat bombs coming down the stairs.
Keep trying, though.
But they've been able to push the cart at least down below as they try to get it through the underpass here. But quickly falling down is Shooted Dead and Jaw 7. So this is a pretty good area for the Junkrat to throw when you're trying to push the cart through here.
Yeah, and the flank, it didn't look like it worked, but it accomplished the goal of distracting Flexi long enough for them to be able to push down through that choke point at the bottom of the overpass.
And Luxury up top able to find the first kill for his team for Zero Watch East as they look to try and find a couple more, but it's kind of stalled out here for either side, and that favors, of course, the defending team in Flexi.
Absolutely, because of the place where the payload stopped, the natural retreat is going to put it right at the worst part of the choke by the time that Zero Watch is able to contest it again.
Flexi on top here trying to keep control of the high ground with pretty much their entire team there. They'll drop back down, they disengage, and Ace of Spades gets a kill as they do. That'll force the res out here early on to bring back Luxury, an important damage dealer for the Zero Watch East team, as they kind of just trade here, poking each other back and forth.
Great tank play from Zero Watch East, creating the pressure that forced Flexi off of the high ground and down. That's on the two tanks.
Luxury on a flank on the right side, using his visor. He's going to find Ace of Spades, who couldn't get away. Looked like maybe he was going for that large health pack, but he found a Luxury ult instead. Jaw 7 uses his tire to get one, and the rest has come out on either side to keep this even. There, the Death Blossom from Square, he finds two. And this should help push through for Zero Watch East to this first point. You still have countersink up in the air, just stalling here for a moment before eventually probably going to be taken out.
A good push, and they're going to... Oh no, they almost staggered Mercy a huge amount. And the spawns are going to work out, so it's going to be really hard to put too much pressure on them in this initial first push before Flexi can get set.
They all have to move back to that second corner that the cart will come around as of right now, and Jaw 7 gets taken out by a Jippy, who's getting a boost from the Mercy, but quickly res right back as Jaw 7.
And Mercy and Winston for Zero Watch East, they are behaving perfectly in sync right now. The timing of the barriers and the dives is excellent right now for Zero Watch East, and that's a big part of why these pushes are working.
Graviton Surge from Mob Alert doesn't get anything, as Ace of Spades now will get a kill on a Luxury, and Jimmy the Lion, the ult coming from the other side from Turkey, doesn't result in too much either, so two grabs wasted on either side. Nutmeg able to get a kill, and Jaw 7 using the Rip Tire to find Square. It's always good if you can get him down if you're the side of Flexi.
And as Zero Watch East pulls back, I think they're going to try to control the high ground here first of all with Jippy. And they're also going to go up with Mercy. I think one or two others might try to come up to the high ground because I think this needs to be a vertical fight from them.
That was the second time that a junk tire was used to wipe out Square in particular. Both times their team invested multiple resources, a Wraith form and a Zarya bubble, to try to prevent it, and it was just deadlocked onto him.
And when the teams are doing that many resources on one person, you know that both teams feel like that person is the carry right now. And it's hard to say they're wrong in how Square is played.
And Square dropping in on his Death Blossom does take out Lunar Slayer. Lucio was close to his ult too, as now out comes the ults from both Mercies on either side as they bring in the reses. Jaw 7 close to a Riptire here. A big ult on the side from Shoot It Dead for Flexi, as that'll allow Ace of Spades and Jaw 7 to get 2 kills. And push forward as the Riptire comes out, looking to see who he tries to find with it. Looks like maybe he's going to try and get the Mercy. And he does get it, and he gets Jippy as well, as they had gotten together. So a really good Riptire from Jaw 7. It looked like it was just going to be a Riptire that was going to die. He was just looking, and then he finally was able to get something out of it.
Flexi is doing a great hanger hold here. I knew they were going to have a shot when I saw how the spawns worked out after the .1 take. There wasn't really going to be a chance to bully. And 2Flexi used that time to get set, and it's really hard to dislodge a set hangar defense here.
And this is probably, too, Junkrat's best area as well. You have the little more enclosed spaces, and Ja's been finding the kills.
And look, they're starting to make use of both the high ground and the low ground at once because Zero Watch East is finally dedicating enough to pressuring the high ground. And Ivysaur does get picked there on the high ground, but I think they need to do more of that. They need to work the high ground more, maybe even spend an entire push coming in through the high ground.
So a good another wipe here from 2Flexi as they keep control. 45 seconds left, so looking like this will maybe be the last push for the side of Zero Watch East with time running out.
And yes, they are going to be coming all through high ground. So this is going to be their last push. They're going to try something new, but 2Flexi has it spotted.
3 ults, 2 available for Zero Watch East, a Visor, a Graviton Surge, and they have 1 defensive ult. We'll see how they decide to use them as well, as here comes the Visor here early on by Luxury, trying to find some kills with it. Does get Turkey, that's a first good kill, because that's an ult gone for the side. As 4 seconds left, and they finally try to drop onto it. As there, they don't get it because of a good Zarya ult on the side of 2Flexi.
Oh,
They forgot about the point in C9.
you saw it coming. You saw it coming, and it still happened. So excellent hold by 2Flexi. They've got a very makeable target for this attack.
You know, I wonder if they maybe mute their music, and because that's one thing that always helps, is that music telling you when it's getting close to time being over. Because sometimes you miss the voice say it.
Well, even if you have that, you need to have a shot caller who's keeping an eye on those things, can start screaming, guys, 10 seconds, touch payload, touch payload. And I don't know if somebody was supposed to do that and didn't, or if they just got lost in the adrenaline of that team fight. Because that team fight was starting to go their way. They just ran out of time.
Yeah, they ended up having an ult that caught it. Looked like a lot of 2Flexi into it as well, and they would have had a chance to clean it up. But for when you look at it on the side of 2Flexi, this is right where you want to be. Only have to push through the middle of the second point pretty much.
Yeah, and Zero Watch isn't going to bring out any kind of cheese comp, even though if you're ever going to, this is probably one of the places to do it. They're bringing out their standard comp instead. And, you know, it's generally been working, but ever since 2Flexi brought in Ja, it's not been working as well, but they're really resistant to making changes in their comp.
When you don't make changes like that, can that be good for you, or is that something that maybe Zero Watch looks back at these maps regardless of the outcome and says, hey, we need to have a little bit more flexibility?
If you're playing an adaptable team that can make changes in response to what you're doing, if you can't also make changes, you're putting yourself at a huge disadvantage no matter how practiced you are at that single comp.
Ace of Spades coming out with the Widowmaker once again, putting some shots in. Can't find any kills yet, but at least forcing a little bit here before Chippy the Lion takes him out.
They're just going to quickly push to the underpass, and they got to start thinking about rotating. Zero Watch does hold it under there in the choke point.
Zero Watch not rotating over yet. Jumping in with the Winston is Shoot It Dead, and he gets melted quickly. But the cart still moving a little bit here before finally getting stopped as it started to go up the other side of that underpass.
C-Square gets a great pick on Lunar Slayer right after the res comes out. Sorry.
And then 2 quick kills from Ja7 to get Nutmeg and Luxury to give his team a chance here to keep pushing this cart through the underpass. And now they make a turn around towards the doors. They have the advantage here. Mauveler with a lot of charge, but has to deal with a lot and gets taken out by the Junkrat mine. As Ja7 now will be able to just send it out. And the first point quickly
Zero Watch has brought out the Bastion.
They brought out the cheese now, have to use the res on a Nutmeg, and Turkey right now on the Tracer as well, applying damage. Quickly taken out, and then Ja7 with a tire that gets 2.
That might be it. They're going to have one more chance to stall it out, but they've got to do it for almost 5 minutes. And I think if they push hard, 2Flexi can interdict them from ever even getting on the payload.
They might not have a chance to even get here is the thing. We'll see. It's going to be really close. They have to hurry. Nutmeg has to get there. He gets actually pushed towards it by the ult, by the Winston. He might have had it, but it might be enough anyways. It's taken down quickly. The kill's coming out. Ivysaur with a quick res on his D-square. He's close to a Death Blossom if he can stay alive. Ja, though, taking out Ivysaur. The kill's still coming in on the side of Flexi as they ult themselves. And this should do it here as they get this map here of Escort as they win on Walsh Point, Gibraltar 2-1.
And that'll be our match. It's a tie. 2 maps to 2 maps. Great performance by 2Flexi. It's unfortunate that because of prior results, they're going to take 3rd in the group, but they have nothing to be ashamed of here tonight.
And very good effort from them. Like you said, they end up tying this one 2-2. And when you look at those last 2 maps, the Assault and the Escort, 2Flexi, what do you think? Ja7 obviously came in one after the first 2 maps, and he made a difference, no doubt. But was he the biggest difference in swinging things in favor of 2Flexi, or do you think it was more of a team effort?
I think the pieces were almost there in the first 2 points. I think they were a lot closer than it might have looked. And I think just a little bit of a change. The Genji, it really discommoded Zero Watch Easts on that 3rd map. And by the time Ja switched back to Junkrat, I think 2Flexi had bought themselves enough time to figure Zero Watch East out.
The other thing, too, I think that seemed to make a difference to me, at least for 2Flexi for the second 2 maps, was not that there was bad play from Cardboard on Junkrat, but he was a little reluctant to use his Riptire. We didn't see that with Ja7. He was using that Riptire almost as soon as he got it.
I see Riptire very much in the same vein as Pulse Bomb, where with other ultimates, you want your team to be calling it out. You want your team to be holding on to them until there is a play being made. You're deciding what ultimates are being invested every single fight. With Pulse Bomb and Riptire, they come up so fast, and they can pull the wind out of a push's sails so quickly that you almost want to use them on cooldown, or at least on opportunity.
Yeah, they're definitely those alts that give you, that can swing a fight in your favor. There's no doubt about that. Just think of some of the fights, if you watch Overwatch Contenders, that you've seen when Effect, for instance, lands a pulse bomb that gets 2 or 1 on a key character. And that's what it felt like on those last 2 maps for sure at points. But when you look at it for Zero Watch East, they did what they needed to do. They won their 1 map, then they won a second one. And at that point, they had taken first place. Maybe there was some complacency on their side. Complacency, excuse me.
I mean, it could be that. It could be that they didn't want to show anything when they knew they were already going to be a number 1 seed in the playoffs. I don't think so. I think 2Flexi just outplayed them those last 2 maps. They were close in the first 2. The last 2, it was clean wins by 2Flexi. And with that, the final standings in Division 5 Group C at the top, going to be Zero Watch East with 4 wins and 1 tie, Budget C9 with 4 wins and 1 loss, and 2Flexi with 3 wins, 1 tie, 1 loss for 3rd place. And we're getting in contact with the captains of the other 2 matches now. Gnomes, we're going to take about a 10-minute break here between matches.
Absolutely. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break here, folks. Pop open the hood, twist some tubes, and pull on some stuff. Make sure everything's working properly. Thank you very much for everyone who is in the stream. Don't go away. We will be right back with you. Welcome back, esports fans, to some more Overwatch University League action. Joined once again by Labosco and Mukai Kubo, who might have switched places on my overlay. I'll check that out in a sec. We are now moving into our second and final match for the evening. This one is going to be Division 1, and just like our previous match, there's a lot on the line here. These are some people who have a lot to gain or lose in their groups within Division 1. Mukai Kubo, what can you say about that?
It's complicated is the status of this match in this group. So there again, just like last time, there are three teams that are still alive for the place in the playoffs. Reformed, but by the way, used to be Kablam, I believe. They've got 3 wins and 1 tie and 14 map wins. They're playing the Patchy Pack, which has 3 wins, 1 loss, and 12 map wins. And another team, Pandemic, has 3 wins, 1 tie, and 12 map wins. Put all that together, you've got some really weird scenarios. So the division championship is actually the easiest. Reformed, by the way, is in the driver's seat. If they win 3-1 or 4-0, they win the division. If they win in any way and Pandemic loses or ties, they win the division. If they tie and Pandemic loses or ties, they win the division. So they've controlled their own destiny. Patchy Pack, the other team tonight, if they win and Pandemic loses or ties, Patchy Pack wins the division, and Pandemic wins the division if they win and Reformed, by the way, loses or ties. Do you have all that? Because there's one other scenario that could throw everything into chaos. If Reformed, by the way, wins with 2 map wins, so say it's 2-1 and 1 draw on 2 CP, and Pandemic wins 4-0, literally every single tiebreaker we have will come out even, and those 2 teams will have to go to a 1-round tiebreaker. I'm sure that Chad is going to be rooting for utter chaos.
I know I am.
As far as the other playoff place, if this match is a Reformed win, then Reformed and Pandemic are in the playoffs. If this match is a tie, Reformed is in the playoffs, and Pandemic is in the playoffs with any win or tie. But if Pandemic loses and this is a tie, then Patchy Pack is in the playoffs. And if this is a Patchy Pack win, Patchy Pack is in the playoffs, Pandemic is in with any win or tie, and a loss puts Reformed into the second place. Got all that? Great, because I don't.
Mukai, I'm going to need a blog post with slides and a conspiracy board for this one, and I'm going to need that on my desk by tomorrow, all right?
Absolutely.
So, folks, we are excited to bring you some high-tier Division 1 action. Mukai, I believe you mentioned, but when we were talking right before the game, that one of these teams competes in another organization that we may have heard of that also has to do with the word university.
Absolutely. The Patchy Pack is actually a play on words on the Wolf Pack, which is the mascot of North Carolina State University, because Patchy Pack is actually NC State's TESPA team. They're also competing here. And NC State's college football team won 35-17 today. So I think, Patchy Pack's hoping a little of that magic rubs off on them tonight.
Well, I doubt the score is going to be exactly the same, unless maybe in the eliminations.
And on the other side, too, when you looked at Reform, by the way, they're a team that has some of them have been together for quite a while since the Open Division began. They've had a couple of their players together, and they've kind of continuously added parts on. And they play a lot. So this is a team on the other side who has spent plenty of time playing the game. There's no doubt about that, and playing together as well.
Now, do we happen to know if Patchy Pack has a coach of any kind? Did they mention that in the pregame at all? Because it's always interesting to see what difference that can make for a team. A team that practices together, that plays together a lot, there's a difference between whether they're doing that in queue or they're doing that in a scrim environment. Now, obviously, the majority of our Overwatch University League teams take advantage of the opportunity to scrim against their peers, usually in other groups, not in the same group. But there's plenty of opportunity for that to go around. And as collegiate esports kind of moves up in the scene, I'm always interested to see what sort of support staff they're going to have surrounding them, coaches, analysts, managers, all that stuff. I am friends with members of a team here in California, and it's pretty much just students doing their thing.
And just so everyone knows, this is a Division 1 match, which means there's no upper limit on the SR that can play or be a sub. And both of these teams have an average SR in the 4,000 to 4,200 range. So we're talking about Grandmasters here tonight. The first match was more gold plat. These are GMs, boys.
What we're trying to say is you should see some good Overwatch here as soon as we're ready to get started.
And it looks like both teams are ready to get started, and once again, we'll be going to Lijiang Tower first.
Excellent. We won't hold you back any longer, folks. Welcome back to Lijiang Tower. Here we go.
So obviously, Luki, we're looking at a different level of play here, but the meta is something that is kind of in a weird spot right now anyways. So what do we expect to see from both these teams?
I expect to see them mostly sticking to a relatively standard composition. You're going to see lots of Mercy, lots of Junkrat. You're probably not going to see Pizza Demon on Symmetra, though I could be wrong. We've got another 25 minutes to see if that's just, making the poor casters all hopeful and happy inside. But you're going to see a lot of coordination, a lot of teams pushing in together, some really good ult management, and just much better teamwork, especially from the teams that have been playing in other competitions as well as this one and practicing together.
Side note on that, no offense to our previous match, I myself am a gold plat scrub, so props to you guys.
Same
as well. We're all plat scrubs, so it's all good. As looking to get started here, the side of Patchy Pack, like you said, looks like they are going to have kill shot on the Junkrat. Looks like maybe we'll see some Sombra play here as well, if left stays on it.
And this would be an interesting map for her, but I've seen stranger things. Squid's not going to go Torb. I'm not that lucky.
Nope, and left switch to Lucio as well, as both teams will come out here with a little bit similar of comps, as it looks like they will meet here early on the stairs on both sides as the damage coming in. A quick Junkrat mine kill shot helps out, but AWP gets one kill there. Left gets another, as the side of the Patchy Path looks like they're going to have the early edge here early on. Kill shot doing some damage as well. It's
all about the velocity of play, and you saw that team fight was completely over before the control point even unlocked. It was just, it's so quick. If you blink at this level, you'll miss something.
So Patchy Pack will get the early building of percentage, as they've already hit 7%, as they look to try and get to those doors and keep. But Hypnot will get a kill first, as he gets it with his early attempt, and now pushing forward off of it will be reformed, by the way, as they continue to get some kills. Dark Star with a kill of himself on Trish or on Amiibo, and then Pink Taran with another as they push on towards the point, but still fighting here, at least trying to hold out. Left uses the ult, the Lucio ult, as there comes the counter ult though from Pizza Demon.
Ults everywhere.
And then kill shot with the Riptire gets two. So when it looked like maybe this was starting to swing in favor of Reform, it looks like that maybe it won't, and it will be Patchy Pack holding on. That Riptire, one of the big things in allowing for Patchy Pack to hold on to the point and build now to 53%.
If I didn't know better, I would have said...
Absolutely.
If I didn't know better, I would have said they were throwing good support ults after bad, but it played out.
Absolutely, and it was the tempo as well. Every ult had its counter right at the right time, right at the right place.
And now here comes the Riptire here, and two found by AW picks, as that one, now the Earth Shatter from Mevo to help try and counter it, as kills coming out on either side pretty even, but it looks like it's going to eventually be a flip here of the point, depending on whether or not they can get this flip before the players come in for Patchy Pack.
And it doesn't look like they'll be able to. They are going to contest it, try to milk at least a few more % out of it before they concede, but they've lasted long enough that they're going to get their entire team onto the point.
Graviton Surge followed by a Ripshire by Killshot will take out a few here. Quickly coming in and rezzing was Jolly to get Squid out back up. As trying to keep this point is Patchy Pack to take control point 1 here on Lijiang Tower. As they push everyone off the point, can you get back on? Just doesn't time his Dark Star. Has to recall, but has to get back onto the point quickly here. Hypnot gets killed right before he can. So Patchy Pack will take point 1 here at Lijiang Tower.
And it's just a game of small mistakes and small advantages. For example, if you use a Riptire, it's going to be hard for a Mercy to get away from you. But what you can do is not lose anyone else along with it. If you Riptire and you get Mercy and somebody, that's a huge gain compared to only getting a Mercy, because that makes it 6v4 instead of 6v5, while obligatory taking away of res. So it's a lot of those small things that I think threw the fight over to the Patchy Pack.
So we'll see if they can close it out here now on point number 2.
Patches, yeah, they're looking to make a strong early statement, come out of the gate with a win in their pocket.
And we're going to see see one pharmacy on the side of Patchy Pack and see how they can use this, whether it can be effective or not.
And this one on Reform, by the way, they've got the setup for a classic dive, just going in and going onto the back line, and that's what they're kind of trying to do a little.
Kill shot will find Claw of Death here from Patchy Pack, but the Mercies on either side get taken out here, and now it's just a matter of whose DPS can clean up, and it looks like it's going to be Reformed getting the early go-ahead, but Killshot and Squid trying to keep this going.
And that's dive for you. The first 4 players to die were the 2 supports on both teams. The next 2, the Winstons on both teams.
So even though it looked like Patchy Pack was at a disadvantage here, it seems like Reform can't get control of this. The counter is building for Patchy Pack as the kills come in. Squid getting a couple now with Farah, able to stay alive here on this point and finally flip it for Patchy Pack. That was a long, drawn-out fight, but it was the Farah that was the difference.
Absolutely, and now Patchy Pack is going forward, trying to exert pressure like we saw in the last game on this map, trying to deny Reformed, by the way, the chance to deploy and get their attack in order.
Squid, the Seeker, and Meebo all with their ults built up here, and he's going to use his Rocket Barrage. He got 2 kills before it and didn't get anything with the Rocket Barrage. You don't really see that happen often, but the follow-up after the Barrage allows for Patchy Pack to clean this up and at least force back Reform.
And the combined efforts of Winston and D.Va were able to deny that ult even after 2 kills with just plain old rockets, but it didn't really gain Reform much.
The D.Va ult coming out here quickly, Meebo getting a kill here early on. It's the Lucio ult came from left to allow his team to push back forward and keep Reform basically into their spawn right now. They're waiting in their spawn right now as a Seeker going to just use its self-destruct just because they were just holding them back.
You don't often see on this map a hold that far forward. Reformed are just getting bullied right now.
Patchy Pack does lose Jolly here, and that maybe will swing things, but the Seeker and Squid keeping it even on the kills. Claw Death, though, uses the ult at the right time, gets 2 reses on 2 important players and beats even a Dark Star, but Meebo with his ult able to get a couple kills, but Dark Star able to get the D.Va and now the Winston, so the tank's out of the way here for Reform, but can they get the flip? 83% right now is the build-up for the side of Patchy Pack as they look to come back in as Jolly uses their ult to try and swing things back in the favor of Patchy Pack, but a lot of red there on the kill feed as it looks like Reform will finally get the switch. It goes at 94%, so 6% to go here for Patchy Pack, and looking to just get killed. Here's the Seeker. Finally does.
And the Pack, they culturally do not want to give up a point. They will push hard, they will invest ults to try to save a point, even if it looks like it's not winning. Last map that worked for them, here it drained a lot of ults they could have used for this retake.
And getting staggered out right now is Patchy Pack. I mean, you just had the Seeker get back from getting killed earlier, and now you have 4 or 5 kills go on to the side for Reformed as they take out a couple of the Patchy Pack here, just staggering them even more, allowing that percentage to build up.
And Killshot has switched to McCree, so now we have a McCree coming out, and I think that's a good response to the dive composition that Reformed is showing.
Have the damage boost on the McCree as well on Killshot as they quickly swing around and get onto the point, almost catching Reformed by surprise when they get on there before the point flips, send out to the self-destruct onto it as well. As the battle continues on the point here, Claw of Death having to bring back up the Genji. Hypnot with the ult gets one and then finds another after finishes onto the Genji.
And just a general melee on the point here. And at times like this, it's target prioritization and its individual fragging ability that carries the day.
It looks like that target prioritization is working for the side of the Patchy Pack as they have the advantage in numbers right now, and they finally flip it back. 5% left to go. Should be able to get back to the point, though, is Reformed, but they're going to have to make this fight count here. Don't have any ults other than this attempt here as they throw the D.Va Bomb on. Luciol used by left to try and keep his team up. Kill shot with 3 with the Deadeye, and then Squid using the Dragon Blade to follow up with another, as they just need to clear the point here, and they will take Sejong Tower.
And it's important to note, ult economy doesn't mean you don't ever spend all of your ults. It means that if you're in a situation where you want to spend all of your ults, you make sure they all count. That's what Patchy Pack did at the end there. They threw everything they had into the pot. There was nothing left if they had lost that fight. Absolutely nothing. But they knew they were going to have to invest every man, and they did.
And they knew, too, that they just needed the flip and to get everybody off, and it's easily theirs with only that small percentage to build up. So they get the job done here on Control Point. That means the hybrid map will be picked by Reformed, by the way. And when you look at the two teams that these teams have played in Pandemic, as far as the matchups that you can look at as because both teams had beaten everybody else, it was a 2-2 tie for Reformed on Pandemic, and it was a 2-1 loss for the Patchy Pack. So both teams played that one team very close. Of course, maybe a slight edge you give to the fact that Reformed beat them, but just like in college football, just because you beat a head-to-head doesn't mean that you're going to do the same thing.
The transitive win property does not exist in a lot of competitions, absolutely.
Yes.
And so waiting here on Reformed to pick our hybrid map. We haven't seen King's Row yet, and Gnomes assures me that literally every hybrid map is King's Row. Right, Gnomes?
Wrong button.
I'm prodding him.
No, what they say is that there's 2 maps in the entirety of the universe. 3 maps, actually. Final Destination, D-Dust 2, and King's Row.
The 3 perfect maps.
So, let's see. So, Gnomes, from your position, what's something that I think Reformed could change? Because they were getting bullied by Patchy Pack. They started to pull it back, but they weren't quite able to. Would a different off-tank like a Roadhog be able to help against the pack right now?
Possibly. What they really need to do is they need to identify a weak point. When you're getting bullied like that, there's a couple of things that go into that. There's the mental part of it, where you're just failing to pull together a team. There's the mechanical outplay part of it. And in order to pull back from that, you need to identify the enemy's win condition and what are they exploiting in your team. Then you need to find how do we break that. So if you look at the star players, honestly, aside from the DPS on the side of the Patchy Pack, the tank play has been pretty darn good as well. I was following Winston there for a while. So going with some sort of a tank buster, a very 1-2 punch sort of play, could work out in their favor. They also did not, if I recall correctly, play any Pharah. While the hit scan on the side of the Patchy Pack is good, having a pocket Pharah, breaking that out, adding some DPS to those fights, especially on key points, if you're really able to maneuver around to the backside and break up their formation, that can give you an advantage. So,
and we are going to King's Row, by the way, and Reformed is going to attack first. Patchy Pack will defend first. So,
prophecy is
yes,
true.
It's King's Row. The prophecy is fulfilled.
And when you look at those team fights, it didn't seem like it was a completely one-sided affair. It was definitely in favor of Patchy Pack, but there was still some good things happening on the side of Reformed.
And Reformed might be bringing out the Roadhog, just like we were speculating. We'll see if that's a real pick or kind of a troll pick, but it looks like it would fit. They are showing triple tank. Let's see if they keep to that.
Well, Squid has been kind of playing with all our hearts here, and it looks like maybe he's going to pick the pig from Australia as well, and it looks like that is what he will go with here, at least initially, unless he's fooling us. But I think he will go with it.
And the Patchy
Season
Pack
3 now, boys.
Yep, we are bringing out the triple tank with Roadhog, Zarya, and Reinhardt. And for this first point, I think that is a good approach. And if Reformed also goes triple tank on attack, we're going to have a beef fight on point, y'all. Good old-fashioned tank fight. Yeehaw.
So,
Hi, everyone. Welcome our new dancing tank overlords.
So the one difference between these two comps here is a soldier on one side and a McCree on the other, pretty much, and a Lucio and a Zenyatta. So
yeah,
those two little differences, how can they play into this?
I think it's just going to be all about where you engage and how you engage. With a Lucio, you can speed boost over the high ground and get in around behind the point a lot more quickly. I think that might be the play if they go through the theater, but it looks like that's not going to be what they do. They're going to
McCree's-
go through to the hotel.
McCree's also an anti-flanking pick.
That is true, but they're on a flank used to be anti.
So Squid with the early pick on the Pink Tauren, who quickly gets rezzed here. So the Roadhog battle going early on to the Patchy Pack. As trying to push onto the point here is Reform, but quickly getting picked in was AW picked, as that will push back for the moment Reformed.
It's a good first push, aside from the fact that it didn't work, but they didn't have a lot of wastage on either side there. It was a clean fight, clean disengage.
It felt like that the difference there early on was Squid on the Roadhog, though he won that Roadhog battle at least early on. See if he can continue to do so. As the charge misses everybody, but Squid and Killshot come in with the whole hog and get two. Darkstar does get one and left, who quickly gets res back, and then the Seeker finishes off Darkstar, who was behind. So that Zarya ult works well for Patchy Pack. They still have their defensive ults and their one defensive ult and the Valkyrie ult for their Mercy, and then 3 ults on the other side for Reform.
They're about to get attacked Visor and Earth Shatter as well. They're going to have 4 ults for this fight, so if Reformed wants to make this an ult brawl, we're going to see a whole lot of fireworks here.
Darkstar gets the early kill on to Killshot, so early advantage, and then there comes the Reinhardt Shatter, which doesn't get any. He does get one on the pin, and then it comes out the Zarya ults. Then the counter Shatter will help get at least 1 or 2. The Seeker getting 1, but Reform cleaning the point here. It looks like they're going to capture this point and get to push the payload.
6 ults within 10 seconds, and every single one of them was a reaction to another ult. That's the kind of reaction time and knowledge of if A, then B. That kind of instinctive decision-making you have to succeed as a team at this level.
So now both teams down to only 1 ult because of all that ult usage, although Squid almost back to another whole hog. He's built that up fairly quick. He had used one at the beginning of that team fight. Out comes the attack visor from Killshot. Nebo following off with 2 here as Patchy Pack pushes towards and through the archway.
And this far forward hold on King's Row, it's very dangerous because of the spawn advantage that you're giving up. But if you've got it, you can hold here for a deceptively long time. And it's really tilting if you can't push it behind the arch.
3:48 to left here for Reform to get to that point to try and push on to the final point. So point A, still a lot of time, but not as much time as they would like, as they finally do get through the archway, as giving it up was Patchy Pack. But then they're going to come in now here with the whole hog. Counter ult doesn't work though on the side of Reform, missing with his Earth Shatter was Hypnot, and that allows for the cleanup here.
And Patchy Pack, they're doing a great job on this hold. I think Reformed just have to take a step back and think about what they're doing, maybe make some changes here, because what they're doing isn't going to push this payload very far.
Great coordination too for Patchy Pack on their ultimates. They've been comboing ults really well here so far. See if they can.
And now the push is going to start here.
Yeah, starts to push it a little bit. Still have to get around that corner. The Zenyatta ult comes out, Transcendence from left to keep his team up. But up top, Darkstar able to get left after his ult finishes. The Earth Shatter to take out one, maybe from Evo, but good res keeps his team in it for Reform. And then the Zarya ult to finish things off with a whole hog. They should be able to push here.
And before things went wrong for Patchy Pack, there was a very interesting sequence. Meeb on Reinhardt had his shield up. It was very damaged. He dropped it. That made Darkstar think that the shield had been broken. Darkstar went for the high noon. Meeb immediately put his shield back up and shielded his entire team, except for Left, who was a little bit caught out of position. And because that one pick happened, because that little positioning error, now Reformed is near point 2.
And it happened at the perfect time too, because Left had just finished using Transcendence. If he clicks that a second earlier, it doesn't kill him as well. As now another fight started because of the Earth Shatter. As both teams trading here on either side. Whole Hog comes out from Solid, trying to follow up onto the Zarya ult, and does get 2 because of it. The Seeker with great timing, using that Graviton Surge right in the middle of the Whole Hog to help his team clear off the point, and Patchy Pack stops it short of the point. And this is another spot where it's tough if you're the attacking team, because you don't have spawn advantage.
Yes, and Claw of Death, Mercy on Reformed, by the way, tried to get close to the edge of that catwalk to heal some people caught in the grab, got a little too close and was sucked off into the grab, immediately got picked. Probably could have made it back if she had just run and kept to the high ground, but it wasn't worth it for her.
They do die as a team was the one good thing, so not too much of a stagger here, but only 1:10 left before they run out of time to push this payload as they get back to the back of the payload now and trying to push forward and get some kills. Pink Karn getting one with the hook and then the shot. Jolly, though, rezzing him right away. The Earth Shatter comes out from the side of Nebo, and he gets a couple of kills, and gosh, Patchy Pack following up behind it with kill shots, Deadeye, and everybody else behind. Wipe him again.
But Reformed is going to have Graviton, they're going to have Earth Shatter, they're going to have High Noon. They've got the tools that they need, especially with only a Transcendence really available to counter them, but they have to make this last push work real well. They can't afford a single missed ult.
Maybe hurts too that Pink Torrent decided to use his whole hog before he died there. If they had that ult, they would have had all 6 coming up.
They're going sneaky over top.
Coming up the top, like you said, Killshot will find the first kill, but Pink Thorn will find Killshot. Deadeye from above, can it get anybody? But Darkstar's taken out before it can be used. The Seeker getting that kill there. Pink Thorn, though, killing Squid. The res coming in, keeps Squid up from Jolly, and then the Zarya ult looking to wipe. Reformed here, they're not able to get everybody in the grab. They should be able to get everybody after Mevo uses his Earth Shatter to get the last 2. The overtime bar ticks down. Claw of Death can't get there as he gets grabbed by the hook of Squid, and that'll do it for that push. They get the point initially and push towards the second, but can't get it. 1-0.
And as we said, Reformed couldn't afford a single missed ult. Unfortunately, they had an ult get missed. High Noon, it didn't really get any value for them because the McCree was picked before he was able to make the shot. And that's just good counterplay from the Patchy Pack.
And it was the Zarya, too, who ends up getting the eventual kill, and the Seeker was the one who managed to get Darkstar. It's not usually the one you see getting that pick, but you'll take that pick whoever gets it, especially with how dangerous we've seen Darkstar on the Deadeye B. That's what got them the initial push onto the point.
So as we come on to the second attack, let's see who's going to be coming out with whom. So nothing too unusual, I think, on the defense. Again, it's going to be a triple tank coming out from Reformed for defense. Pretty much the same lineup, including Darkstar on McCree. On attack, I think they're still in playing with this mode, so we'll find out in 40 seconds what they're really bringing.
Yeah, you never know. Attack Torp could be the new norm, right?
The new meta, boys.
He's fairly committed to it. He did build a turret, so
you never know.
Ready. He's ready. And you have left right now on the Hanzo up top, more than likely just to get some information.
Or to send out a quick sonic arrow right as the spawn starts to tell them before they rush in who they're going to be dealing with on defense. Watch for that.
And Squid
no.
switches to Soldier. We expected it. We didn't want it, but we got it.
It hurts anyways.
And this is not going to be a triple tank on attack from the Patchy Pack. It's going to be a typical 2-2-2 with Soldier and Junkrat doing all of the damage.
But we'll see how the Junkrat can fare here in Killshot. Throwing that damage first out onto the point, getting pulled in here early on was the Seeker trying to run away. Gets to the Zenyatta, Orb, and Jolly to heal him, to stop him from falling. Hypnot gets Meebo here early on. And Pink Torn and Darkstar, the defense starting strong at least for Reformed, as they're pushing back the Patchy Pack here.
And look how the butterfly effect happens. The Seeker gets hooked, gets pulled into the hotel, gets hung up on the level geometry. That means Mercy has to detour around the statue to heal him. That means the Mercy isn't in position to keep Ryan up. Ryan goes down, Ryan gets rezzed. Mercy isn't there to save the other two. It's the little things that cause a team fight to go one way or the other.
And all of their healing was going just to one player in the Seeker. You also had the Zenyatta Orb on him as well.
Now it's a full hotel push onto the back of the point.
And they push in behind here. The ult comes out, though, from behind from Hypnot, but it doesn't get too much follow-up. Killshot will get one here, though, for the side of the Patchy Pack. as the Reaper and Squid trying to come around here and get some more. Continuing to go, but Reform going to hold it here. Squid getting killed before he can run away.
And that was a very clean push from Patchy, but it was an even cleaner rotate on defense from Reformed Beat, by the way. That's how you defend a full hotel push.
And even though Hypnot gets taken down after he uses his Earth Shatter, the fact that he's able to get a couple players in it allows his team to follow up.
And the Seeker is about to have Graviton up. Not sure who they're going to pair it with. They might hold on to it for a while.
Nope, they decide to use it here early on. It looks like looking for the whole hog.
That was a straight defensive ult. Because one grab came out, the other one came out to try to prevent from...
They're quickly Reformed to just clean up.
Yeah, now Patchy Pack's now got to be wondering, well, should we have held on to that to combo with Death Blossom? Should we have held on with combo with Fire? They wanted to win on that push. They weren't willing to wait another. Now they have to anyway.
So time's starting to run out here as well, pushing straight onto the point once again. Is the Patchy Pack. Pink Thorn will get the tire here. You have the ult from Darkstar up top. He gets a bunch as he was able to get around it behind that Rhine shield to take out two, and both the supports for the Patchy Pack. They'll be staggered out here as well. Will Patchy Pack.
And with 1 minute left, this is the point where Patchy Pack has got to really start being afraid that they might be in trouble here. They've got to at least get some progress on this push.
Only got 2 ults up right now, and a couple ults that are only about halfway. So they've got an Earth Shatter and a Death Blossom to work with. 2 ults that you can combo, but you need a pretty big shatter for that to work out. Evo pushing up onto the point right now. His team behind him. You do have that Roadhog doing work on to the right side there. Pink Torrent. The Earth Shatter doesn't get anything. Squid goes in, but it's quickly moved away. And a good defensive ult by Pizza Demon to keep his team up. Still thought Squid do get to here. The Claw of Death countering with the ult on the Valkyrie ult for the Mercy to bring them right back up. As there's a good ult to the other side on the Earth Shatter. As Reform looking to clear this point off, Pink Torrent using the whole hog. But Killshot with Seeker and Squid trying to keep this going for the side of Patchy Pack, and they'll get it here now. With 8 seconds left, they're able to finally get this point, and they should be able to quickly push through here.
An absolutely beautiful flashbang on that ulting Mercy from Reformed.
For a moment there, I was afraid we almost had a series, boys.
Yeah, and Killshot immediately swaps onto the Bastion for this point, so they're going to go full out protect the President here.
See if it works. They do get the early kill on the Hypnot, who has to be rezzed by Claw of Death. As his team falls back here, we'll see how they try to counter the Bastion. They do have 2 players up behind, as Darkstar uses the ult here, manages to get Squid, but Killshot takes him out. Squid rezzed by Jolly. Good shatter. A noble experiment that's maybe it's going to work here, we'll see, but Killshot's still up, and they're able to just clean up Squid and Killshot, just putting damage into that Zarya ult.
That was an excellent decision by Jolly to res Bastion there. I was a little dubious, but it worked out great. That's why they're GMs and I'm a flat.
Minute and a half left to go here. They're getting closer to the point that they need to get. Haven't seen any changes here on the side of Reform, as pushing around that last corner and coming in with the ult by Pizza Demon for Reform. The Shatter gets 3, and it gets Claw of Death. That's the important thing, is the charge to kill him by Nebo, as his team looks to clean up here and maybe take this one. Pink Torn will get Killshot, so the Bastion gone, but still a lot of players to contend with here if Reform wants to try and hold this, and it doesn't look like they're going to be able to do it. A minute left, and it's not going to matter. They get the final 2 kills with the swing of the Reinhardt hammer, and they take map number 2.
Excellent push. You could see that Patchy Pack was starting to struggle, but once they got onto Street Phase, it all clicked for them, and all 6 of them are on fire. That generally means really good things are happening.
What did you think of the decision to stay with the comp that they had against the Bastion on the side of it?
I'm frankly not sure they really had time to make an intelligent switch off.
There was one swap.
Yeah, there was, and
Darkstar to Tracer on the side of Reformed. They
Yeah,
attempted
and
a
it's
backside flank to go after Mercy, got some shots in, and then were almost immediately cut down by the Bastion. That was just as they almost came around the final bend. There was a
I
thought
don't
it
really
didn't work.
like Tracer as an immediate counter to Bastion. I think Tracer counters Bastion more when she's got her pulse bomb ready. I would have probably preferred to have seen a Genji come out there. I'm not sure if it would have worked, but for something where you've only got one or two team fights and you might not be able to build an ult, I think Genji's a little better response there.
What about Diva?
Diva could also have worked if they wanted to go even more tankier, or if they wanted to swatch one of their tanks over to Diva. But in the end, Tracer wasn't a bad idea, just didn't quite gel for them. And we are going to Hanamura next.
Very exciting. So, the score is currently 2 in the favor of the Patchy Pack, and 0 for Reformed, by the way. What does this mean so far? What possibilities have been removed from the mystical map of Division 1?
So we are not going to see a Reformed win, and that would have resulted in Reformed being the first seed and Pandemic being the second seed no matter what. We've still got this match being a tie as a possibility. We've still got Patchy as a win as a possibility. But right now, Pandemic is feeling pretty good about their chances.
Excellent.
They pick Hanamura here as well. What does that mean for both of the teams and what we've seen so far, Mookie?
I think you're going to see more of the same from Patchy Pack initially. I'll be interested to see if this time anyone comes out with a Sombra. It's not her favorite 2CP map, but we'll see if anyone goes with that as a second supporter, even a second DPS. Though I doubt that'll really happen. See, I wouldn't expect to see triple tank here as much. It's a possibility, but I don't think this is the best set of points for triple tank. If I had to guess, I'd say we might be going back to paired 2-2-2s.
We'll see so far. Just some early quick picks by both teams. Squid's showing Symmetra, but I don't know about that, if we'll actually see it or not.
Please. And I do want to point out that Patchy Peck said that King's Row and Anubis were their two favorite maps, so they got to play on one of them. They're not going to get to play on their other favorite map here.
Hanamura, definitely a map that you can use the Symmetra, but usually you want to use it as the defending team, not the attacking team. So I highly doubt that's our pick. But what will Squid give us is the question here with what you see around.
And, well, Reformed is going with, again, the 2-2-2, Soldier and Junkrat. Nothing out of the ordinary for this meta. Squid, hard to say. Might be a Pharah? I'm not sure. Pharah would be a decent pick here. Genji. So with that, with Genji and Tracer, it's kind of a hybrid dive here. Interesting pair of choices.
Yeah, you don't have the normal tanks you see that go along with it, but the Seeker on Zarya. Zarya can kind of work with a dive DPS, so we'll see how it ends up going here on their first push. As they get up towards the doors here, speed boost to try and get inside as they quickly break the choke here to get in. At least half the team, but not everybody does, and that allows for Patchy Pack to make picks down in behind and look to hold here early on.
I like the thought from Patchy. I like the speeding in. They all kind of scattered as soon as they got past the choke, though. And that gave Reformed a pretty easy way to pick off people one by one there.
Yeah, a lot of damage came out from AW and also Darkstar as well on the Soldier up top. He's been doing a lot of work up there with that damage boost as well for the most part.
And now Reformed is going to take the high ground and defend with Darkstar up as Soldier on the high ground. And they're just looking for another chance to speed boost in here.
So Patchy Pack coming in again. The Seeker gets one, but Pinkthorn and Hypnot get two for Reformed. As this hold looks to go well here again. Hypnot able to get one, and then has a Tracer Bomb on him, but wasn't damaged enough to make a difference. So Reformed holding again.
And again, we're seeing Patchy Pack be a little shakier taking a point than they were pushing a payload or contesting a King of the Hill point. Do you think that's a reflection of their style, or just do you think it's Reformed being more comfortable with static defense?
I think maybe they're a little more comfortable with it. At least they seem to be. And I mean, Patchy Pack has struggled here. Maybe they're adapting to what Patchy Pack has been doing, because we've seen similar things for the most part from Patchy Pack. As they will get a couple kills here again as Reformed. AW only gets one, but he gets the Reinhardt, so a lot of that damage mitigation gone. As now, though, Patchy Pack able to clean up a couple here. The Graviton Surge without the counter surge. But it looks like it will be the Patchy Pack finally getting the capture. 2 minutes left.
Yeah, and they keep on scattering whenever they push, and I'm not sure if that's a strategy or a breakdown in communications. It can be sometimes a little hard to tell, but they're definitely not really sticking together on pushes anymore.
And it worked there for them. They do get that one, and now they get to push onto the second point and have 5:40 left to do it. So even though they had those 2 early failed pushes, they still had a lot of time.
Yeah, and if they can get a good pick on this first point, they don't have a lot of ults to work with, but this is a good chance to try to kill that line.
One thing for Reform, they do have Pizza Demon's ult, and you have the Valkyrie ult, which is not exactly a defensive ult, but it can be used as one. Darkstar and AW picks getting the kills there. The Riptire just about getting close tier 2 at 90%, so good work by the DPS for Reform.
And I think that was an intentional dry push from Patchy Pack because they really didn't have anything to push with, but it didn't really bait out any of Reformed ults either, so it's kind of a wash on that score.
Yeah, it'll be fairly even on the alt side, so you have 4 on the side of Reformed, and you have 3. And Squid getting close to the Dragon Blade for the 4th one for Patchy Pack as they push up along the right stairs, using the multiple ults on both sides. Both defensive ults come out. Dragon Blade not going to get anything here, but Meebo with a good charge will get Pizza Demon, so one of the support players out. Darkstar and Hypnot countering back as you have one of the ults come out. Kill shot, he would only get one, but it's Claw of Death. That's an important one because he had ult. So now able to push onto the point will be Patchy Pack. Pizza Demon there to stall along with Darkstar. Coming in is Squid and left, getting a lot of kills on the Lucio.
It was going so well for Reformed until it very abruptly wasn't.
As now they will capture here 4 minutes of total time bank for the side of Patchy Pack. Like you said, Mookie, it was looking like it was going to be tough sledding for Patchy Pack, but Reform, they end up collapsing there and a pretty good time bank.
And I chuckled a little at the outset of that push because Squid hit the sword, immediately got shattered and fell down, and then immediately got booped. So you had an prone, unconscious, burning Genji flying across point B. It was just a fun little visual. But he got up and he started getting picks, so joke's on Reformed.
And then Reform, ults just came out everywhere after that initial Dragon Blade too. You had both Lucio's ulting on either side, one after another. And then I think one of the big things was the fact that Claw of Death ended up getting killed and never got to use the Mercy ult.
Yeah, whenever you die with an ult like that in your pocket, it feels terrible. Oh, Squid is on Torb and is leaving turret. This is not a drill. We have an angry dwarf.
So he will come out with the Torbjorn. And this is a map where Torbjorn's a very viable pick.
Yeah, and there are some tricky places to set up a Torb turret, like on these stairs so that you can shoot through the grid window. And that looks, yeah, that's where he's going to set up the turret. It makes it a little more difficult to pick off the turret early, and it gives a good field of fire on both entrances to the choke.
The one thing, though, is if this doesn't work, it can snowball really heavily in the favor of the attacking team. So the one thing you do see here is that the Junkrat is going to be there. Junkrat can do a lot of damage onto that turret if he can get to it.
If he can get to it. It's hard to get bombs in through that window, so Junkrat's going to have to look to try to get around the left side of the objective.
We'll see what Reform can do here as they go against the Torb defense on the side of Patchy Pack. Nebo building up some charge there for the Zarya as he gets pushed back a little bit by the Junkrat on the side, as Claw of Death will have to res Pink Thorn who fell here. Darkstar going around as the Tracer, able to take out the turret. Now will his team come in afterwards. Left does get the kill onto Darkstar, so they're without their Tracer. But coming up the stairs right now is Reformed as they go for the long way around here to get to the point.
And Torb's looking for another place to set up his turret. He's got one. He's trying to hammer it into position quickly. That's going to be in position to do a little damage to Reformed as they push, but not that much.
Reformed now coming down and around the stairs. Looking at where that ult is on the side of Squid. He's at 87%, so very close to getting the Molten Core, and he's probably going to get it here for this fight. AW does get Meebo, but they've got to hurry and push on here. 99, he gets the core and uses it right away, as now his turret will get Hypnon. The Claw of Death will quickly res him right back. Zarya ult here used by the Seeker, and they're able to clean up here through it. Meebo with the charge and the follow-up from everybody else. So the defense will work here early on with the Torbjorn.
And it did work, but it is a little unfortunate that the Graviton Surge got placed in a position where the Molten Core turret could not really contribute. Otherwise, maybe it would have also taken out that Junkrat and prevented that Riptire from coming out. But Riptire didn't get that much value, so in the end, it worked out well for Patchy Pack.
And Squid gets res there in time before his counter goes up, and he has to run all the way back. So he's still able to get that turret up. You have the ult here quickly used by Pink Torin. Doesn't get anything for it, but it does bring out Left's ult on Zenyatta for the Transcendence, as quickly taking everybody out again was Patchy Pack as they keep this push going. Or this defense going, excuse me.
And that's kind of the backup point where Torb's putting his turret right now. Again, the key thing is that there are fields of fire onto both entrances into the choke.
82% to Molten Core.
And it's so hard to push into Molten Core if you're not ready for it. Reformed is going to be expecting to see, you can see the Lucio already getting some chip damage on the turret, but it complicates things so much.
Darkstar already used the Tracer Bomb to try and get some damage out. Nah, didn't get anything with it though. Darkstar trying to go back. AW Fix gets one, but Jolly quickly rising back the Reinhardt. But 2 kills on either side, and it's continuing to get on here for the side of Patchy Pack as they clean up again. Darkstar's gonna just have to run away.
And that Molten Core turret did work there. Picked off the Zarya because Zarya literally could not turn to face it, or would have gotten rocked by 2 other people.
So down to 48 seconds here, maybe enough time for one more push for the side of Reformed. And if they don't get this one, this does not bode well for them as far as their chances of making it into playoffs.
Absolutely, but a map win here would secure a point in playoffs for Patchy Pack, so they've got everything to fight for in this last team.
But Dragon Blade here for AW Fix gets a lot, but can his team follow up and get the rest? Some good kills there afterwards from Squid and everybody else. As now you just have Darkstar, who's going to have to try and stall here. The good thing for Reformed is they do have the spawn advantage, so Darkstar will drop on here to get the overtime counter. Seeker will back up here and looks to run away to at least try and stall out before trying to go back onto that point. But I think this might end up being a capture here. He did have coming from behind and running away, almost getting pooped off, but he's able to stay on with kill shot, and Left gets a kill on Darkstar here.
And Patchy Pack, again, is the thing that we noted in King of the Hill. They will not give up the point if they can possibly contest it. They are very dedicated. They're very tenacious about holding on to what's theirs.
Valkyrie all used here on either side, both of them coming to the end. Transcendence now on the side of Patchy Pack. Counter with the Lucio ult, res used by Claw of Death to bring down Hypnot, and the Shatter there doesn't get anything, but the kills coming out from Patchy Pack. AW needs a lot here on this Dragon Blade if he wants to capture this
timer
point.
almost ran out.
It was very close, but they're able to stay on it here. But it looks like it's still going to end up going in favor of Patchy Pack here, killing off those last players, and there goes the bar, and Patchy Pack will move on and into the playoffs with the win here on map number 3 as they go up 3-0.
And like I said, a lot of teams would have just said, okay, we lost the point, let's hold point B. Patchy Pack's philosophy is, no, I don't care about spawn advantage, I don't care about ults. We've got the point, we're going to hold it until we can. And this time it worked again. It's like the first time they pulled it back to Peak of the Hill. It's a high-risk strategy. If they had not been able to hold that Reformed probably would have been able to take point B on a first push or a second push, but if they won, and they did, that's the map.
And that's what ended up happening for them. And of course, a lot of credit goes to Squid on the Torbjorn, but I think you have to give a lot of credit, too, to the Seeker, who was the last player alive and smartly used the bubble of Zarya to stall for a second, then backed up, allowing his team to come back with him, and then everybody pushed onto the point to eventually win that map.
So with that win, Patchy is in the playoffs. If Pandemic loses or ties, Patchy will win the division. If Pandemic wins, Pandemic will win the division. So we won't know that tonight, but the Patchy Pack has done everything they can do at this point. The last map it doesn't really matter for seeding. It just matters for their own sense of honor and sweeping another very good team.
And for Reformed here, you just need to get a map win to hopefully help you out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, there are edge cases where a map win would help, but really it's all in Pandemic's hands now.
So do what you can here on the Escort map. And it looks like we're going to be going to Dorado here for the final map.
We are going to Dorado, and the Patchy Pack is going to defend first.
So looking at this one, Patchy Pack, they're going to defend first, like you said. So they're going to know what they need to do. For them, they've made it to playoffs. They want a 4-0 if they can. What do you decide
All about
to
that
do?
momentum.
Yeah.
I think they keep dancing with the one that brung them. I mean, they keep using their standard comp. They might go a little crazy now that they've guaranteed everything, but I think they should just get more reps in against a dangerous opponent with what they're most comfortable on.
And this could be an opponent who makes it into playoffs if things play out for them against the other, for Pandemic, if they end up
Absolutely.
losing their match.
This might not be the last these two teams see of each other.
So get as much information as you can. And it looks like early on, Meebo's picking here the Orisa.
Oh my.
So it looks like we might get to see some Orisa play here on defense.
So we're going to see the maximum explosive combo of Pharah and Junkrat as the DPSs, and then Orisa as the off tank. What they're going for here is a lot of long range firepower. I'm a little surprised that they're not also finding a place for Soldier instead of a second support. That's a comp that NVS has run, single support Soldier and all the explosives in the world. But here they're going to be looking to engage at range and just overwhelm any barriers. I think they're expecting to see a lot of barriers here.
Well, what they will see is a Zarya and a Reinhardt more than likely, along with your DPS being a Soldier and a Tracer. So we'll see how they can counter with those two. A lot of mobility, that's for sure, for the DPS on the side of Reformed.
And for Reformed, Darkstar is going to want to farm ult quickly and often on Orisa. That's going to be one of her main goals, along with going after supports.
Well, she uses her bubbles to get some early early charge there. As they now see the comp that is being used by Patchy Pack as they look to push along, and they're staying to the right of the card here, trying to get that through early, as rotating now is Patchy Pack to the choke.
And so here's the car wash fight. Such an important initial team fight here on Dorado. If you get held here, it can be really hard to ever push beyond it.
This is a comp that can definitely do that to you as well from Patchy Pack. Either side finding a kill, and right as they say that, left finds Dark Star, so there goes your flanker right away for the side of Reformed. We'll see how they try and group up and counter.
And in a position where she cannot be rezzed. So they've kind of got to relax a little. They don't want to push into a 5v6. And here comes the Riptire.
Coming through the middle and gets killed out of the air. Pink Torrent using the left click there to get it. As
Great
that could have
tracking
been
on that
bad.
tire.
Important tire to kill too. Didn't want to stagger the team anymore. And the Seeker find a kill here on the AW. As now the Rocket Barrage following it up from behind, and Meebo just continuing to put down the left click from the Orisa as they clean up.
It's working for the pack so far. I'm starting to get worried at how much they're charging up Pink Tauren, though, as Zarya. It seems like they're starting to ask for a little trouble if they can't keep getting quick picks on the Zarya. they could be setting up a real chainsaw there from Zarya if they let her.
Well, the one thing there about their comp, Hypnot gets taken to half health before he even gets to where his team's trying to go as they work around to the left. Finally does get healed up now as they go up the stairs and try to come on the left side here. He'll already having his barrier set up.
And anything to just try to not go through the car wash, there is its own choke there. Patchy immediately takes advantage. Like I said, it's such a hard place to hold in that car wash.
And you talked about Pink Taran building up charge, got taken out, then rezzed, and then taken out by the tire. As able to clean up here again is Patchy Pack, but they're taking out the priority target that you said, the one person who can build up, not just charge, but charge ult.
Absolutely, and right now, what is Reformed going to do? They have the tac visor, but they don't have a lot of good targets for it, and they're going to go to triple tank. Darkstar switches to Roadhog here for this next push. I like that pick.
We'll see if he can get a pick too, using that hook to draw in one of these characters here. Goes for the air pick, doesn't get it onto Squid, who continues to put damage in from above. Just continuing to get those rockets on. It has a rocket barrage as well. Out comes the ult from Orisa to get that extra damage, and the rocket barrage doesn't find anything there, but does at least keep Reformed back as they have to quickly push back towards their spawn. Hypnot, though, was hiding here. He misses everyone with the charge, though, and he gets sent back towards his own spawn. Doesn't die, but takes a lot of damage.
And Meebo is doing very good at creating space with his shields. That's one of the key things that an Orisa has to do, and Meebo is showing how it's done with the shield placement, because even something as small as angling the shields one way versus another can have a huge effect on how useful those barriers are.
So
Graviton
25.
Surge is likely to be coming out real soon from Seeker here.
Especially with 20 seconds left to go here for Reform to try and push this payload as far as they can. Here comes the Zarya ult from the Seeker. Squid getting a follow-up kill into it onto Pink Torin. Quick res onto Pink Torin, who does have the Zarya ult. See if they drop it here. Does so. Law of Death 2 reses, and then Pizza Demon falling up here on the kills. And maybe Reform is going to get a chance to push through here. Jolly able to res one. And now try and keep up kill shot, but they're going to be able to push this payload if they continue forward and keep those players at bay behind. They might be able to get this next checkpoint.
And Patchy Pack could get real strung out here. They've got Riptire the Junkrat, they've got Mercy way behind.
Riptire gets taken out before it can do any damage, and they do get the point. So Reformed keeping themselves alive here on this push. Now they
Pack is in real trouble now.
Yeah, especially after that ult comes out from the Reinhardt to take out a couple by Hypnot.
Junkrat considered using the mine to fly up and over, but that would have brought him and Mercy right in the middle of the team comp. Intelligently, they both just jump off the cliff instead. It means they're going to give up about half of Streets phase, but it's better than the alternative.
Don't stagger out, you stay together as a team. You do have two ults here. You have a defensive ult from Zenyatta, and you have the Rocket Barrage that, if you find the right opportunity, can swing a fight in your favor.
Yeah, and so Reformed is going to take high ground and push on it hard, and they're going to get bullied off of it by an oncoming Patchy Pack. But again, half of Streets phase is already over before the first team fight even begins because of how much of a stagger that was. And a great hook from Darkstar on a kill shot, starting out this team fight well for Reformed.
And you have the ult, really kind of just ends up being a zoning ult from AW as he used the visor.
Nutty things here.
Yes, he does. He gets another one on Squid, who has to get rezzed right away. It forces out the Zenyatta ult as Transcendence goes. The barrage gets nothing as Darkstar pulls him out of the air. So good work here from Reformed as they push close to the door.
And I think they've got to hold here, otherwise they're looking at getting old. Patchy Pack is still looking at trying to hold point 2, and they got bullied almost all the way to the end of point B, but it stabilized a little. They'll have a few ults for this last team fight.
They stabilized at the right time because there's only one team fight left. Right now, you do have the ult advantage going to Reformed. However, they've got that defensive ult from Lucio, and they've got a couple more that just built up. So now 4 total, and you still don't have one yet. Killshot close to the Deadeye, but not close enough, depending on what happens here in this last fight.
And half of Patchy Pack is up top and away from the point. I think that's going to be a little bit of a surprise.
So Meebo right now, the only one there with Squid. Hypnot, though, gets left. The Zenyatta out of the way. That's a big early kill here. The Lionheart ult gets 2 for Reform, and they get the follow-up with it with the Visor and Pink Foreign, and the Visor ends up getting 3, so this should be another push here into the overtime for Reform, as they'll have one more point to push on to.
It doesn't matter if you get the point with exactly 0 seconds left, or if you get it a minute into overtime. You still get 90 seconds to go through point C here.
And like you said, so now that already 12 seconds gone of it, and they're continuing to find kills here as well. Good Darkstar right now has been one of the differences. He's been on fire for what feels like most of the time on Roadhog, getting picks on key targets.
Yeah, his hook accuracy on important targets has been exceptional. It's really been the MVP so far for Reform this fight.
Oh, big counter ult from Meebo, uses the Shatter to stop the Reform team from following up on a Zarya ult. So good job there by Meebo, saw his opportunity and took it, and that ends up winning the fight for his team.
Yeah, that stops the push cold, and now Reformed is only going to have one more shot at this.
And you can see Patchy Pack, they're kind of split again. They have Killshot on top, looking to do some damage there, and then his team's all to the left of him as well. Now they start to group together, using the Zarya ult here, and that will get a lot here for Patchy Pack. 15 seconds left. Don't think anybody's going to be able to get there for the side of Reformed. It's going to be very close. They've got a long way to go, though.
And Mercy got separated from the rest of the team, and Killshot on McCree picked her off just as easily as he pleads.
And Hypnot and AW do get there in time to create one last team fight. Killshot with the early pick on the Hypnot. Claw of Death, though, using the ult to get 2 reses early on. Jolly now with the counter ult to keep up
Duel and
Meebo.
Mercies.
They're shooting at each other right now. The fight on the ground, however, still where things need to be won. And so far, it looks like it's going to be Reformed winning the early fight. There's still going to be maybe enough time for the respawns to come back in here in the overtime to try and have
one more chance.
Yeah.
And Meebo has got to hit this Earth Shatter. Yeah, it's going to be what they're relying on.
Quit on the Tracer now as well, trying to do some early damage here. And there, because of the flashbang, the quick kill onto Darkstar, but gets res right away. Meebo with the Shatter gets 3, and then his team falls up on it, and everybody gets off the point for Reformed. But they managed to push this close to that third and final point. So 2-0 here after the first push, but now Patchy Pack with their opportunity.
Yeah, Patchy Pack, it's not going to be easy for them to go 4-0, but it's very doable. And at the end, I think Optics was the only one who really had a shot to get on the payload, but I think he thought somebody else was going to, and so he didn't come off the high ground. Because when you're Soldier and you have a high ground advantage, you never really want to give it up unless you gotta.
And he ended up not realizing it, like you said, and that was what ended the push for them. But even if he drops onto it, more than likely that's going to be a win for Patchy Pack in that team fight.
Yeah,
they
that's
did have
true.
the numbers.
That's true. And again, another very good performance from Patchy Pack. They were really good at holding on and stalling and delaying. They did give up 2 points, but both of them were after overtime, which says that they almost full held.
I think you give a lot of credit, though, too, to Reformed here for the fact that they're down 3-0 in this match. They know that they've lost it, but they're still trying to win this final map here. And 2 overtimes, they're able to push through and get the points and almost get the third.
Yeah, you never want to lose 4-0. You always want to have something out of every match that you can point to and use as a base to go forward, and that's the mode that Reformed is in right now.
You can always look at it like you were talking about Envious a little bit earlier.
Optics is trying to be sneaky deaky with a mine and a trap out the main door. Nobody was there to see it. Nobody was there at the front door looking.
Yep. We'll see if he gets anybody or if the Seeker will be the first one to go on to it. He throws another one down for a good measure,
Might
too.
have just blown his cover because Zarya was looking at that one.
So we'll see what the Seeker decides to do here once the door opens. What has been communicated to their team. The Seeker does get caught in it, but does get some charge built out of it. As coming around now for the first team fight is Patchy Pack.
And Reformed immediately dropped down from the high ground only to rotate back. Didn't really see what happened there.
We'll see what they decide to do here. Like you said, they go to where that car wash is and early on. Poke coming out on either side, nothing found yet, and as I say that, 2 quick kills come out onto the side of Patchy Pack, and then a third.
And yeah, Patchy Pack is bringing out the pharmacy. They're not going to the tank to try to pull through. They're going to trust in their DPS as a McCree and a Pharah to frag out.
And that's what's happened so far. Squid with 2 kills on the Pharah there at the end to completely wipe Reformed, as it looks like it'll be a first quick push here, but still a lot of the map to go. As Jolly and Squid going ahead to scout out.
Getting point A on the first push is really demoralizing for Reformed. Now they're really up against it because now they've got to hold for a good chunk of 5 minutes to really have a shot at holding point C.
But this second push is somewhere where you can hold for a while if you can get the kills in a certain time. You have a Riptire out, and finally Optics uses that on Killshot, who gets rezzed right away. As Killshot then will use his flashbang to get Pizza Demon. And the kills coming out on the side of Reform, so they will get the early kills here. And now you have a very split out
staggered
team.
real badly.
Yeah, they are stuck behind. Squid can probably get back, but I don't think the Zarya is going to be able to, and it does if the Seeker gets taken out.
Yeah, and Squid does have Barrage ready, and Seeker does have Graviton Surge. Watch out for that combo coming out. Graviton plus Barrage.
The Seeker just getting back after getting killed, so finally meets back up with the team. Up on the high ground right now is Reform. Here comes it out. Rocket
side of the ledge.
It ends up getting 4 kills for it for Squid, but Darkstar counters and gets 3.
That was, Darkstar had to do that or the game would have been over. Doing that gives Reform a chance to reset, but what a Graviton Surge on the underside of that ledge right into the barrage.
And then Killshot uses his Deadeye and gets the Mercy, and that'll allow for Patchy Pack to push this almost to the second point.
Yeah, and they're going to be right there at the end of the second.
Lucio ult here to keep this team alive, but Optics able to get 3 kills on Junkrat. Big shatter comes out on the side of Meebo, and he cleans up for his team, and that will be the second point here.
5 minutes to go, 76 meters.
A lot of time for them to push on to that final point. We'll see what they decide to do on the side of Reform for this final point.
And they're being really aggressive. They're trying to pen in Reform up near the spawn, but they just get bum rushed backwards. That does not go too well for them.
Pizza Demon getting the early pick on Amiibo, though. So good start at least for Reform here early on. Jolly will go in and res him. Killshot finds his counterpart Darkstar, and now the ults start to come out as you have the heat dropped on the side of Reform, and they will eventually win this team fight. Force back finally.
And they're going to have about 6 pushes to go 30 meters. Reformed has to be perfect pretty much 6 more times, because if they lose a real team fight, it's going to be real hard for them to hold away from the objective.
And if you decide you want to do it on the side of Patchy Pack, you can just dry push one more time and get all your ults. And
even though you're about to be able to combo Graviton with Squid on Genji, you might want to just wait and hold out for something else to combo it with. Or combo with everything. You've got time.
We'll see how they decide to use their time. They're going onto the high ground here to start off, falling behind Meebo's shield as he pushes in. Pinktorn gets killed by, or gets the kill onto Killshot, and then here comes the Zarya ult as both Reinhardt swinging back and forth, and it looks like this is going in favor of Reformed, at least early on. Optics with some damage in, throwing the mine in, and then finds Squid afterwards. Close on that push, but not close enough.
A little unfortunate. I think they wanted to either do a dry push or just throw everything in. Instead, they tried to use the minimum number of ults to win the fight and didn't quite win it. They've got time to make up for it, though, and they're going to go up through the high ground again, it looks like.
That ended up using 2 minutes, though, so you're down to 3:03 right now. So that one push took a lot of time off the clock.
Squid's pushing the payload, and it's going to force at least one person to drop down.
And some forcing, too, as Optics will use the Riptire here. Killshot will end up
coming up behind them.
Deadeye, and that tire
Mercy picked it off.
The big pickoff by the Mercy, but Reform still battling in on here. Meebo trying to do some damage in front. Both Valkyrie ults used on either side. as Jolly with the 2 quick reses gets Squid and Killshot keeping their DPS up. Reformed here in a dire situation, but they're still holding on and keeping that point from moving, and they do have the respawn edge. Optics with a big kill onto Killshot. Jolly reses him right away, but Hip not following up, and Optics killing Killshot again. So Reformed able to keep this one in their favor, and another minute gone, 2:05 or 9, excuse me, left to go.
And almost as importantly, that was almost all the ults that they had. They only have a pulse bomb left. While Reformed, by the way, they have 4 ults ready. They're going to have to do at least one quick dry push, try to build some ult charge, because they're not likely to win this next team fight no matter what, unless Reformed really makes a mistake.
And they had 2 players get staggered there. The Reinhardt and Mevo got staggered there towards the end along with left, so not too bad because you can use the Lucio speed boost to get back in with the team. But Optics gets Squid right away here, which was their one ult. Minute 33 left to go. Squid has to be rezzed. Optics looking for another kill, as Pink Tarn is the one who ends up taking Killshot down here.
But they did prompt Earth Strike to come out, or Earth Shatter, I mean. So, there is that. They are going to have 3, maybe 4 ults coming out the next time they push, and it'll be their last good push. They're probably looking for a Graviton Pulse Bomb combo. So, Reformed, they have to stay a little split up to try to negate that ult combo.
Killshot and Meebo are very close to their ults, but you still have 4 ults on the side of Reformed. It's going to come down to this final fight here and how these 4 ults that are going to happen for either side end up coming. And if Meebo can get it before in the middle of this team fight. Riptire coming out here from behind, and it gets everybody pretty much, like almost a complete wipe. Optics with the huge Riptire. They didn't see it coming from behind, and that'll be a big wipe with 33 seconds left. They only used 2 ults.
Yeah, but Patchy didn't use any. They're going to have one more chance at this.
One more chance, like you said. We'll see what happens here. Still have 2 ults on either side. Actually, a third here. The Seekers gets up. As there comes out the Zarya ult. Deadeye coming. Killshot gets taken out by Darkstar before it can go off. Pulse
Combo came out, but it didn't get anything.
Huge ult from Darkstar with the Tracer bomb getting a couple. And it looks like it'll be a hold here for Reform as they take out Squid and the overtime meter ticks down.
Reform still win this map to make it a 3-1. Patchy is still going to the playoffs, and Reform still does not control their destiny, but they're going to go out on a high note.
What a way for it to end, and Darkstar will get the play of the game as Tracer. And I think it might be the double kill pulse bomb here that changed things. Oh, getting the kill onto Killshot. That was just get a chance, and then it leads into the pulse bomb. That was definitely a big momentum swing there.
Yeah, part of that was on the Mercy for flying into the Lucio, but when you get stuck like that, it's really hard to have the reaction time to not do something like that.
Especially if you've already pressed that shift button to go to somebody as the pulse bomb is stuck to you, which looked like maybe what was part of what happened as well. So give a lot of credit there on that final map, at least, for Reform. But Patchy Pack, they got the all-important game win in this one. When you look at that, Mookie, that was the more important thing here, and that's what they needed, and they got the job done.
Absolutely. Very clean. I like that Reformed, they kind of figured out what was going on just a little too late. If they had won one more map, it would be a very different conversation, but at least they did put it together. And if Pandemic can't make the win happen, they might get another crack at them in the playoffs.
Gentlemen, It has been a pleasure casting these games with you today. Before we get too far, let's talk a little bit about one of the last key plays by Reformed on that map. We were all looking out for the Graviton Riptire. Patchy Pack sent Tracer through the lower right-hand side and spotted out the Junkrat. That was a key piece of information. So they decided not to go through lower, they went through upper. What they missed was Zarya, hiding literally right when you go in the upper door in the tiny corner, got the entire team in the grav. That one little bit of hiding and just failing to notice the gun pointing out just at the wrong angle, I'm not going to say that it threw the game, but it led into that fantastic 4-player tire that we saw. Absolutely,
and again, it's the little things that can shift a team fight one way or the other. And when they look at the VOD, they'll probably be kicking themselves for not realizing that was coming. But good piece of misdirection by Reformed.
And they won't be kicking themselves too hard after all. They did take it 3-1. But fantastic Overwatch that we watched today. Any thoughts on that last series, the series in general, the current playoff situation from either of you?
I can't wait for the playoffs. It's
Yes.
going to be some great games. I mean, both of the series that we cast tonight, both were teams that were either on the cusp or already in the playoffs. And so hopefully this is the quality of format matches that we're going to see on November 4th and 11th when we cast the playoffs.
Absolutely. I'm excited for that. Labosco, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you have this. The top three teams were all really close. We knew that just from looking at how things went. And even though it was a 3-1 win in favor of Patchy Pack, I mean, it was an exciting finish to that one as Reformed was finally able to make changes that ended up getting them one of the maps. It's out of their hands whether they make it in, but I'm just excited to see what's going to happen here moving forward.
Absolutely. Well, on account of the Overwatch University League, my fellow casters, the entire admin team, thank you to everyone who turned out today. We really appreciate having you in the stream, cheering for your friends. Thank you to all 4 teams that played today. It was fantastic getting the opportunity to cast with you. We look forward to seeing your future success. My name is Tormented by Gnomes. I'm here with Mukai Kubo and Labosco. Have a fantastic night.